Hello, hello. Okay. Microphone and internet being great. God damn it. Good start. Okay. That's one. Microphone looks correct. Now, what is eating my downloads? Um, what is happening? Sorry, I'm just trying to stabilize things. Ah, man. Give me one sec, guys. Ay, ay, ay. Good start. Apparently, I had left my laptop on. I don't know if you can hear me properly because it's not stable. Should be in a minute. Ay, ay, ay. Hello, species. Hope you're doing well. But I don't know how this sound's gonna come through. Is it stabilizing? Maybe. Why? It should be fine. Oh, fuck. Ooh, that was my bad. Okay, now it should be back to normal. God damn. Maybe? Oh, man. Hello. Sorry about this. Ah. It should be fine now, but it's like using more than it should, which is making it lag. Ay, ay, ay. If you're still there, SBC, hello. Can you hear me? Because I don't know what this is sounding like, because I know it's lagging. Okay, stable. Will you stay stable? We might be stable. God damn it. Yeah, my laptop was downloading, but now I don't even know. If anyone's there, hi. Sorry about that. Okay, stable at 10,000. Can I put it up to 1550? Yes. Okay. God damn it. 10 minutes later. Hello, hello. We'll just pretend the stream just started. It's fine. Somewhat. Slightly. Sort of. But yeah, just chilling tonight. I don't know. I didn't feel like playing it in particular. Like, I kind of want to play more Mario and Luigi and stuff, but like, I don't know. I just feel like chilling for a bit. I'm probably not gonna have an overly late night. That's why I wanted to start like a little bit early. It's kind of like a bunch of stuff I've been wanting to watch that I haven't got around to as well, and they're kind of like suited for stream stuff. Mostly gaming. Some trailers and things like I kept meaning to get around to looking at the actual trailer for Nintendo Alarm Clock and the Nintendo Music stuff, but like I kind of know what they are obviously, but I hadn't actually like watched them. There's some random stuff like that and some speedrunning stuff and some Legend of Zelda stuff. Just a bit of a mix. But yes, if you're more than likely hearing me properly now, hello species, I hope you're doing well, good to see you. Yeah, we'll probably jump into something soon. So I'm just chilling, taking it easy tonight. Hopefully nothing else will go wrong. I made a banana and chocolate biscuit smoothie. It's not bad. Not bad. Can you find it? That is good. Yeah, things have stabilized now, fortunately. But yeah. How are you doing, SBC? Are you still slowly getting through Lies of P? Yeah, as for like what we're watching in terms of order, I'm not really sure. I've just got like kind of a list of them along with like how long each video is, so I'll probably just pick and choose a bit. I thought we would start with this one because I don't know how interesting it is, but I don't know, I find it interesting. I don't know, we'll figure things out. I kind of like put things together quickly, but you know, it'll probably work. You're on a long break? Oh, okay. That's fair. That's fair. Very understandable. Zombies are. Have you been playing anything new in place of it? Hate zombies, yeah. Well, I might start this video just because I got plenty to watch and yeah, I don't know, we're just gonna kind of wing it a little bit. A few of them should be interesting, I think, though. Just chat a bit and keep it casual. I'm starting early, so we'll see who gets the notification at this hour. Guess it's a morning view, isn't it? Especially, yeah. Nothing really. Kind of was busy week. Oh, okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, this was cheating or legit. Controversial new strategy caused havoc in Trackmania. And I mainly thought this would be interesting just because, at least for me, I mean, I find a lot of speedrunning stuff interesting, especially the cheating stuff. But yeah, I used to play Trackmania a lot, but I haven't played in years. Like I played it like I think it was Trackmania Unlimited, Unlimited Forever, something. But that was like legit. Oh god, I don't want to think about how many years ago that was actually. Oh my god. Yeah, that was like high school. Oy. Damn, that was a long time ago. Holy shit. But I really like Trackmania. So, I don't know, I thought it'd be interesting because I've never really kept up with any of the speedrunning stuff of it, so yeah. I don't know, just let me know if the volume needs any adjustments. I set a limiter, so hopefully it'll like balance itself a little bit, but...
Hello, you absolute legend.
Okay, it would help if I plugged my speakers in. I mean, headphones. Let's go with a take 2 on that.
Hello, you absolute legends. Trackmania is in my opinion one of the greatest racing games of all time. It's a relatively simple racing game, but the mechanics make the game a real treat to play, and these mechanics are just complex enough to produce a host of emergent techniques and strategies that give competitors enough depth to really sink their teeth into. Trackmania seems perfectly designed for time trials, and because the game is so beautifully well made, it has facilitated a bustling competitive scene for well over a decade. Players sometimes spend hundreds or even thousands of hours on a single track, trying to achieve the perfect line. And because that perfect line requires such immense precision and is so hard to actually attain, it allows the true skills of players to adequately shine.
Just seeing this is making me want to play it again. It is like a really simple, fun, like there's so much challenge for like if you want to go perfection, but it's such a fun racing game. Like it's just, yeah.
Those that can control their car better and can produce lines that are closer to optimal will get a faster time than those who can't. And this is what makes competition in Trackmania so great. But over the past couple of years, a new kind of strategy has begun to emerge. And it's a style of play that seems to spit in the very face of the spirit of the game. This new strategy seeks to strip away almost everything that makes the game great, and the problem is that this new method seems to work. By using custom-built tools and brute force, you can let a computer distill a run down to just a handful of inputs. You can figure out the perfect sequence and timing of keyboard presses that would produce the fastest run in the fewest amount of inputs. Now, instead of trying to control your car as best you can, all you need to do is memorize just a few inputs, hit them at the right time, and you'll achieve a new record. In fact, this method is so simple, you could literally do it without even looking at your car. You can just watch the timer, hit the buttons when you know you're supposed to, and the game then becomes less like a racing game and more like a rhythm game. This new strategy has already resulted in one of the most famous world records in the game's history being beaten with relative ease, and this is surely just the beginning. This raises an important philosophical question. What really is the point of Trackmania competition? Is it just to get the fastest time, no matter what or how? Or is it to see who the best racer is when...
It's kind of interesting because, it's really like distilling the human side of it into like, yeah, because that same process is what kind of happens, but it's more internal, and that's making it very external. Like normally it's someone figuring it out over time, over and over and over, and they do repeat their inputs almost over time, but it's like internal and kind of natural. Whereas that's like processed on the outside, and that's weird, yeah. Because I would imagine this isn't really like a Trackmania thing. Like this could happen to any game with speedrunning, I would imagine.
playing the game as intended. Ultimately, after causing much of a stir, this controversial new strategy was banned from use on the competitive leaderboards. But the reason it was banned is probably different than what you would think. In this video, we will take a quick look at this new strategy, and it would be very interesting to know your thoughts as well. Does this ruin the game, or is it just another valid way to play?
How would you even ban it? Like, because you could just like do it like less and still gain a lot. Like, you can't really ban something that's when you're memorizing it. Like, I don't know.
I really hope you enjoy.
That's tough.
Now legends, I am super excited because this video has an amazing sponsor. AG1 is a daily foundational nutrition supplement.
I'd keep the sponsor part in, but I'm sure people have seen AG1 1,000 times.
Trackmania is a deterministic game, meaning that if you do the exact same inputs, you'll achieve the exact same results. This is important when it comes to verifying replays to make sure they aren't cheated.
I mean, it's kind of the same for all speedruns, right? Like, I feel like a tool outside... God damn, why am I lagging? Like a tool outside that basically gives you the input you need, like, that could happen for any speedrun game. Because it's essentially like a task thing, except it gives you the inputs and timing. Like, I feel like that's just something that would get worse and worse now, wouldn't it?
But in normal play, this really doesn't seem to apply. No one can play perfectly, so you're never going to do the same run twice. When steering with a joystick, there are over 100,000 possible input values, and the game is responding to your inputs 100 times per second, so it's just quite frankly impossible to perform the same run twice. And even the slightest difference in inputs can result in pretty significant deviations. This is one of the things that makes Trackmania competition so great. It rewards precision, and because perfect precision is essentially impossible to achieve, the competitive ceiling is never reached. Unless, of course, you're using a keyboard, in which case things are different. With a keyboard, steering inputs are binary. They are either on or off. This range of over 100,000 possible values for steering simply disappears. This makes things much simpler. Mind you, this isn't an advantage, because having the ability to steer by a specific amount is better for precise driving, and this is why the majority of world records on official tracks are performed using a controller. But this simplicity of input values has ultimately produced a new type of strategy that has caused a bit of a ruckus. It's called Low Input Strat, or LIS, and it can only be performed on a keyboard. The earliest example of LIS being used is on...
Oh, right. This would be very keyboard specific mostly, wouldn't it? This is also more and more making me realize just how long ago I played this, because I'm remembering using my old, what is it, Logitech, that very common Logitech wireless controller. I can't think what it's called now, damn. But I'm also realizing how old that is, holy crap.
The track D10 race, which involves taking a shortcut over the left wall near the start. This skip is very precise if you want to do it quickly, and therefore it's usually very inconsistent. However, players found that if you don't press anything at the start of the race, and then just press and hold left at exactly 1.83 seconds, you'll get over the wall every time. This perfectly encapsulates the spirit of LIS. It's finding the lowest possible amount of inputs on a keyboard to achieve a goal. The YouTuber Beta produced a fantastic video talking about LIS last year, and if you want more specifics about the history of this style of play, I recommend watching his video as well. But when Beta released his video, this strategy wasn't as controversial as it is today, and this is because back then, it was more or less only used on community-made maps, and it wasn't really being used on official Nadeo tracks. Official Nadeo tracks feature in official Trackmania releases, and were made by the developers of the game. World records on official tracks are far more prestigious. Now that it has bled into official tracks, it became a problem that needed to be addressed. So let's look at the track A12 speed from Nations Forever. In 2019, the racer NEFFEX achieved a time of 10.61 seconds, which is one of the most famous records in the game's history. Virtual did a fantastic video on the history of this level, which you should check out if you haven't already. But this track involves the use of a trick called the Uber bug, where you hit the side of the track in a very specific way to get launched into the air with a bunch of speed. This trick is extremely precise, and players have spent hundreds of hours playing this level trying to execute this trick, and for the past 5 years, NEFFEX's record has remained strong, at least until...
Damn, that's a long time. Because some people put just absurd amount of hours into trying stuff like that.
till now. Back in 2021, the programming genius Donadigo created a Trackmania tool that allowed players to manually create runs frame by frame, otherwise known as a TAS. They could program the perfect inputs and then play them back to create amazing, inhuman runs. This really isn't a problem in of itself, because any top player can look at the inputs of a replay and know if it was performed by a human or a computer. It's actually very difficult to mimic the way a human plays, just like it's difficult for a human to mimic how a computer would play. But recently, players have begun to use this same tool to run scripts that makes a computer play sections of a track millions and millions of times to test different possible input combinations, hoping to find one that is both faster and also requires the least amount of inputs. In January of this year, the player Virtuoso used a script that found a way to beat Heff's world record by only using 7 inputs. All a player had to do was execute 7 frame-perfect inputs and the world record would be theirs. 7 frame-perfect inputs is not a lot. Many games have world records that require far more than this. Then in April, the player Pastor Grows used the tool to find a 6-input solution that would beat the record. And on the 30th of April, he would use this solution to do exactly that. This concept of using brute force and tools to find ways to beat records with only a few inputs raises a couple of concerns. The first is that it fundamentally changes the way people play the game, in that they are no longer actually focusing on driving, but rather memorizing a few inputs and using the game's timer to execute them. I know some people don't mind this and have the attitude that it doesn't matter how you play the game, the goal should just be to get the fastest time you can. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes it does defeat the purpose of competition entirely. The purpose of a competition is to distinguish players based on their skill levels, at least in theory. But if everyone is just memorizing these same 6 inputs and everyone is getting the exact same time, what's the point? It reminds me of my own speedrunning game Perfect Dark. There are 20 levels with 3 difficulties, allowing you to compete in 60 times, and each time allows you to earn 100 points if you get the record. That's a total of 6,000 points available. But in the past, the maximum points you could earn was actually 6,300. That's because there is a bonus level called the Jewel that's outside of the main storyline. When they originally made the ranks, this bonus level was included. On Agent, the world record is 3 seconds, and simply involves turning and shooting once. That's 2 inputs, and none of them are even frame perfect. And basically everyone had 3 seconds because it was so easy. It's possibly the easiest world record you could ever achieve. But what's the point? If everyone has the world record is meaningless. And if a level can't distinguish players based on their skill, it's a useless level to compete in. And because of this, the Jewel was removed as a level you could earn points on. With LIS in Trackmania,
I've always meant to play the Perfect Dark. Apparently it's like really good. I should really play that.
every single player will just be trying to do the same 6 inputs and will be achieving the exact same time. This isn't necessarily enough of an argument to ban a technique, but I think it still needs to be considered.
I feel like the problem with this is that you almost can't ban it. Like, you can in theory, and there's going to be obvious cases, but I feel like that's where people just like scale it back a lot. Like, there's a big difference between natural and, you know, the best possible, like, lowest input thing. Like, you scale it back like 3/4 and you can still be gaining a ton while using it in a way that's like undetectable, I feel like. I don't know. Do you ever attempt to speedrun? No, I've never really got into it. I feel like there's probably some game where I might enjoy it, but I don't know. I feel like I get a lot more out of like watching speedruns than I actually do attempting them. Like, I don't know, I find it really interesting and stuff, but yeah, it's never been something I've really got into. But I don't know, what about you? Have you ever tried any games like that? I don't know, I don't think I've never found a game where I've wanted to just play it over and over and over, like at that level, but I feel like a lot of like the Souls type games, I like the speedrunning scene for those. They're pretty interesting, and keeping up with the cheating stuff's interesting and stuff like that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have the mind for repeating that much.
Top of this, it's quite literally impossible to know if someone who submits a replay using LAS has cheated. The inputs aren't human inputs by design. No human would ever play like this. So you can't use inhuman inputs as a cheat detection method. And because these inputs are so easy to program, you can't know if someone used a tool to make their replay or if they actually did it by hand. And there are other ways to cheat as well. Tools have been made that reads information from the game in real time and visually shows you when you need to press the inputs. Now you don't even need to look at the timer. You can just press the buttons when the lines line up. In fact, you could use this tool to play the game without looking at the game at all. Now, of course, using a visual tool like this is already against the rules, but the point is that it's impossible to know if someone has used a tool like this just from the replay alone. Maybe you can try to improve cheat detection by forcing players to use hand cams and show their monitors. But even this isn't really enough to prove anything. Players could use a hidden extra monitor to show the visual inputs and you would never know. And funnily enough, a player has already admitted to cheating in this way after achieving a new record with LIS.
Yeah, I feel like it's just too easy. Like, there's so many ways you can get away with it. And like, I feel like this is something that's like really, like I feel like it would impact a lot of speedrunning going forward. Like with more and more AI tools like available and stuff, like I feel like the more and more you'd have to have this kind of stuff creep in, because this is all about Trackmania, but the idea of the tool is essentially just giving people the lowest amount of inputs to achieve a result, which can really apply to like any speedrun game. Watch mostly. I think I'll lose a mind if I attempt one. Yeah, I feel like you got to be a certain way to do speedrunning. It's really interesting to keep up with, but actually doing it's different. Especially the people who like sit there and do like I think 2 ends are crazy, because part of me could think like I could see myself doing a 2-hour one more because there's a lot more variety over 2 hours. But then the idea of wasting an hour and a half and then screwing up a run, that sounds painful. But then you have people who do like a 2-minute one and they do it for like 10 hours straight, and that kind of breaks my mind. So I feel like either way I'm like breaking my mind if I tried it.
Ultimately, the Trackmania community decided to ban the use of LIS on the main leaderboards. Yes, it does allow people to get faster times and a lot easier, but there are so many downsides to this way of playing that it doesn't seem to be worth including. However, they did say they will create a separate leaderboard in the future for people who still want to submit LIS replays, similar to how the Mario Kart rankings separate shortcut and non-shortcut world records, which I think is a nice compromise. The decision wasn't unanimous and some people still think it should be allowed, but the feeling I get is that most people see this as something that will only harm the community and competition in general.
I feel like banning it's even tough though, because now you have to like scrutinize runs at a whole other level to try and detect it, because yeah.
And I tend to agree. Every competition has rules and regulations to keep competition interesting. Let's take high jump for example. Yes, the point is to jump over as high a bar as you can, but that doesn't mean you can put springs in your shoes to jump higher. The point is to clear the bar using skill, not tools that go against the spirit of the competition, which is why there are restrictions on the types of shoes competitors can wear. When I made the video on the Osu cheater, who used illegal keyboard settings to gain an advantage, some people wondered why it shouldn't be allowed. And it's the exact same concept. You shouldn't be trying to win using tools or an equipment advantage, because it simply defeats the purpose of the competition. Thankfully, LAS in Trackmania is so obvious that it's immediately apparent when someone is using it. Therefore, moderation won't be difficult. And
that I don't understand. Like, I feel like it's got to be obvious when people are using it to the extreme. But if they dial it back heavily and only utilize it for like, I don't know, parts of races, or like using it to like learn, like, I don't know, it still feels like there's a gap there that would be very hard to moderate or to catch.
they have even imposed a minimum input requirement, and won't be accepting replays that use 8 or less inputs. This way you can't simply remember a few inputs a computer gave you, you always have to really play the game. This situation has led to a really interesting debate in the Trackmania community, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. So if you have a different opinion, please let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, you legends. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.
Yeah, I don't know, that seems like I don't know if naive is the word. Like, I feel like he would know far better than me about this, but it just seems like you just like there would be people who dial it back. I mean, if it's about the least inputs to achieve something, like that's only one way to do it. Like you're still able to, like, even if you have way more inputs, if you're still achieving a good time and stuff, I don't know, just it feels like all of it could just be dialed back. Like, you don't have to use these type of like, you don't have to use the software to achieve the absolute lowest input. You can use it to achieve just really, really good times with however many inputs. I don't know. Maybe there's other aspects that make it more obvious that I'm just not aware of or something, but that seems like a tough one. But yeah, that was controversial new strategy causes havoc in Trackmania by Carl Jobst. Oh, very interesting. And I really want to play Trackmania again now. I think it was United Forever that I used to play. I still have it on Steam. I haven't. Yeah, it was United Forever. Damn. God, it's so long ago when I first played that. I feel like it would have been like 2009? Maybe? 2008? When did that come out? Yeah, come out. Oh, okay, it says 2008. I must have played it the year it released or the year after. Damn, so good still. I don't know what the modern one actually is, but that was really good. Yeah, what are we watching next? I have a couple other speed. Let's actually. Oh yeah, this one's like from a month ago. I hadn't watched. It's called Speedrunners Have Completely Destroyed Echoes of Wisdom, which I'm curious about. Yeah, Speedrunners Have Completely Destroyed Echoes of Wisdom by Abysssoft. And I'll have links to all these videos in the description after the stream, by the way, just for reference. But yeah, I knew, like, with the echoes and stuff, I figured this game would get broken, but I don't know how broken, so I am actually curious. Yeah, Speedrunners Have Completely Destroyed Echoes of Wisdom.
When The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom released, speedrunners were eager to break it, and not only did they succeed in destroying it, but it might just be the most broken Zelda title in recent history. While the first speedruns clocked in at 5.5 hours, a glitch was soon discovered that resulted in a wrong warp, but there was a problem. Where the warp took you seemed to be random. If there's one thing speedrunners hate, it's RNG, and in today's video, we'll go over how a seemingly useless glitch led to over 4.5 hours of time save. So let's start with an overview of the first speedrun.
Is it the link glitch? I don't know what. I'm not actually that familiar with any glitches. Like, other than what I did throughout my playthrough, I didn't really, like, see any videos or anything much. I kind of kept away from stuff since I was playing it.
For 4.5 hours of time save, so let's start with an overview of the first speedrun. Before the game became a broken mess of glitches and skips, which feels weird to say since this all happened in the span of 3 days, the route for completing the game was relatively straightforward. Your primary goal is to close rifts that have opened across Hyrule by completing dungeons and quests associated with them, with rifts being an integral part of the game as they contain the Still World, a bizarre and broken place where you need to use the game's main mechanic, Echoes, to progress. In total, there are 8 dungeons in Echoes of Wisdom if you're doing the main quest, and 3 optional dungeons if you partake in side quests, but the speedrun only goes into the main 8, which brings us to the first glitch that was found early on. Calling this a glitch may be a stretch, as the game certainly intends for you to use Echoes to complete challenges and clear obstacles, but the old bed is perhaps one of the most broken Echoes in the game.
I mean, the bed is pretty great.
Need to clear a gap, it has you covered. If you need to clear a really big gap, just spawn more beds.
Somehow you can keep playing as Link for some time after the beginning of the game. Oh, really? That's interesting.
If you need to climb a ledge, just use a bed. Want to skip ahead in an area? Use a bed.
I think I did all these things like 100 times. The bed is so good.
Need to complete a puzzle? Bed. Need some hearts restored? Just use a bed. It's easily the echo with the most utility and is used constantly throughout the speedrun. For most of the dungeons, speedrunners have to complete the entirety of them as there aren't many major content skips within them, but the Jabal Ruins are an exception, and the first skip starts with a bed. In
Oh, I found this one myself.
normal gameplay, you're supposed to walk over this section of floor, fall down, and get into a chase sequence with an enemy. Upon completing this sequence, you'll arrive at the end of the hall you fell from, but this entire pitfall can be skipped by stacking beds one on top of another and jumping across the trap,
Okay, well I didn't find that one, but I did find a skip in this temple.
saving about a minute and a half. That's only a small part of the dungeon, however, and throughout the rest, there aren't any key items to collect or mini-bosses to fight. All you really need to do is collect the boss key and then complete the proper rooms to advance to the boss. However, the boss door is in the second room of the dungeon. It's just out of reach because you need to raise the water level to get to it, but instead of doing this, players figured out that they can use an echo to get the entire way to the top. And do you have any guesses as to what it is? If you guessed the bed, you're on the right track, as it is used for the initial height gain. And while there were initial strategies that used water blocks to cheese Zelda up to the top, it's actually the Kraltula Echo that is the star of this skip. When you spawn a Kraltula, you can interact with it to have it move a set distance where it carries you across any terrain it encounters and even up walls.
Oh damn, I never tried that. Interesting.
By using a bed on the first floor of the dungeon, the height boost it gives is just enough for a Kraltula to get you to the second floor, and after grabbing the boss key, another Kraltula is used to ascend to the boss door, skipping about 75% of the dungeon. Aside from these skips,
Damn, I found a skip for that, but it wasn't that big. Okay, damn.
there were a few others, such as skipping the quest that brings you to Blossu by jumping over the trees, but the first any percent runs mostly just went to each of the 8 dungeons and defeated the bosses, for a total time of about 5.5 hours. This is a very long time for a speedrun, and it was off-putting to some players, with one of the early record holders, Smoody, saying that he hopes a major skip was found because a 5.5 hour run isn't something he has time to play consistently. And fortunately for him, later that same day, the first piece of that major skip would be found. But before we get into that, we need to talk about this video's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is
Okay, as again, I would keep the sponsor in, but I'm sure everyone's seen that sponsor a million times. Man, they get repetitive.
scored in a muffin cup to the big discovery in Echoes of Wisdom.
But I will have these videos linked and the channels linked in the description after the stream, just for reference again. Well, early stream. Hello, Cerberus. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, just chilling a bit tonight. I didn't want to have like too late of a night. Infinity Nikki comes out tomorrow, so I'm most likely gonna be doing a day stream. And yeah, so I just want to chill a bit tonight, watch some videos and stuff. So I thought I'd start a bit earlier.
Looking at the Discord, In a Muffin Cup announced that they had found a way to keep control of Zelda while the map was opened, and the setup was quite straightforward. The first thing you needed to do was get close to a void out, which are trigger volumes that surround the game world to stop you from going off the map or getting to an area you shouldn't have access to yet. Next, you'll need to use an echo to spawn a sign, then target the sign and press A to read it just as you walk into the void out. Before you lose control of Zelda, you'll need to quickly open the echo menu, and if done correctly, you'll spawn back into the world with the echo menu active. If you then open the map, you'll still have control of Zelda, but the game will be in a state where it's both paused and unpaused, and you'll know if it was successful because the mini-map will be visible, which gives you some indication of where you are in the overworld. Once the glitch is active, you can't see what you're doing except by looking at the mini-map, but it doesn't affect your ability to play the game, as you can still interact with most objects, geometry retains its collision, and enemies can still damage and kill you. You might think this doesn't sound exciting, but if you've been around the speedrunning scene for other games recently, you'd know that having control of your character when a menu is open can be a huge deal, as the Gen 4 remakes in Pokemon were broken by having menus stored on the screen, allowing players to skip to the end of the game. Players were immediately aware that this glitch could have huge implications for the speedrun, with Program Fairy discovering that it persisted through death just 2 hours after it was discovered, and In a Muffin Cup figured out that by opening the inventory menu while in storage, you can go to a shop and get infinite rupees by selling items and editing the amounts in the storage menu. While this trick was useful, it didn't break the game, as players were looking for a way to skip large amounts of content to bring the length of the run down. And just 4 hours after map storage was discovered, Zelda speedrunner Gymnast86 posted this video. In Echoes of Wisdom, there's a warp mechanic that lets you fast travel to any warp point you've unlocked on the map. All you need to do is open the map, select the waypoint, and confirm the warp. Gymnast was messing around while he had a map storage active and found that if you select a warp point, then bring up another instance of the map, the previous menu will stay active while you select a point with the cursor. And on confirming the warp, you're taken to a completely different location. Within 10 minutes, he tested the glitch further and found out 2 things. The only locations he could warp to were Seaside Village and Suthorn Ruins, and sometimes the wrong warp crashed the game. Players were quick to investigate this in more depth, with July being the first person to get a location other than Seaside or Suthorn Ruins, as they
I figured the speedrunners would have found a Breath of the Wild style flying to the end boss. Yeah, I was kind of expecting something crazy like that, just like skipping over everything, but well, I guess maybe just kind of going that way in a different way, maybe. Yeah.
discovered that by selecting Goron City as a warp location, they were taken to Zora Cove. Not long after this, in the early morning hours of September 28th, Smoody discovered that if you warp into the Gerudo Sanctum dungeon, you can defeat the boss and complete the quest, skipping all of the cutscenes and content that lead up to it, which proved that skipping content didn't break the game or softlock you in any way. The starting point for Smoody's warp was inside of the Still World version of Suthorn, and Gymnast added that any wrong warp he tried to do while in the Stilled World sent him to Gerudo Sanctum, so there was something going on that nobody understood, which meant it was time to call in the heavy hitters. A crack team of glitch hunters consisting of Ekokolot, July, Vilks, Cloud, Cairo64, and Mr. Cheese, yes, the same Mr. Cheese that was involved with the moon warp in Majora's Mask, all set to the task of figuring out what was going on with the wrong warp. As they began experimenting, they did find a few new warps, but one thing they kept running into was that the pool of wrong warp locations appeared to be relatively small, as no matter where they started the warp from in the overworld, they always ended up at the same 5 locations. Luckily, the game had been data mined, and some of the glitch hunters started looking at the variables involved with wrong warping, and an early theory was that Zelda's position may be the variable that determines where you warp to, as the game could be interpreting her position data as the warp target, so changing it might yield different results. However,
Okay, Anna Cross. You spend time trying to break Pokemon games? Oh, okay.
this was quickly debunked through testing, with the wrong warp no closer to being understood, but the glitch hunters did make an important discovery. In the game's code, there are 2 arrays, one that stores the location for Still World and Dungeon waypoints, and another that stores Overworld waypoints. When the game needs to warp you normally, it looks up some relevant information, then warps you to the appropriate target in the array. But when it came to wrong warping, the glitch hunters figured out that the game was reading garbage data. This is why so many attempts ended up in the same location no matter what steps players were taking. It was very difficult to get the game to send you somewhere other than these locations due to how it was reading the garbage data, but a
I'm assuming someone's going to have figured out how to get exactly where they want to go.
trick discovered by Ballistics was about to change Echoes of Wisdom forever.
Yeah.
While digging deeper into the game's code, Mr. Cheese observed 4 different outcomes from a wrong warp using the current method. Either you warp to a level with a valid location, you warp to the first location in memory if the level exists but the location doesn't, you crash if the level and location don't exist, or you don't warp if the garbage data isn't targeting a value in the array. This meant that it was indeed possible to wrong warp to any location in theory. It was just a matter of getting the garbage data to point to the correct index value. But before this could be explored further, Ballistics posted that they hit a wrong warp location that hadn't been observed yet. It warped them from the overworld into Faron Temple, which is the first dungeon, but the interesting thing is that this was the first time this location had been reached, and it was all because of a new step that Ballistics was using that this new location was suddenly possible. It happens very fast, but during the wrong warp, Ballistics hovers over a location on the overworld map, then very quickly switches to the Still World map as the map fades out to perform the warp, which has the game do something very interesting. Instead of warping to an overworld location, the game takes you to a Still World location, and the reason was because with this method, the game wasn't using garbage data, but was taking the value of the location you hovered over in the overworld index and plugging it into the Still World index. Under normal conditions, if you use outside of Goron City as your warp location, the game stores that into memory and warps you to it. But since Ballistics was switched
Also, this video was nearly 2 months ago now, so I don't know how much further things have been broken.
Switching the overworld map with the still world map using map storage, the game thought it should be using the still world array. So it takes the location value for outside Goron City and uses it in the still world array, which puts you into the southern ruins. This was incredible because not only did it mean that you could select warp targets outside of the 5 that seemed to be random, but that the warp was no longer using garbage data and you could get a consistent location every time. This opened up the entire game for wrong warping, and Onaku was the first to see what happened if you targeted the overworld location that corresponds to the final dungeon in the still world array. And to everyone's surprise, the warp worked. It seemed like the only thing standing between runners and the end of the game was the final boss. But there was one small problem. In a normal playthrough, you're joined by Link when you enter the final dungeon and progress together to reach the boss. But if you wrong warp into the dungeon, something unfortunate happens. When you enter the room with the double doors, Zelda and Link are supposed to split up, but if you wrong warp into the temple, Link never spawns in this room. This isn't a problem as you can continue as Zelda, but when you get to the room with the switch, things fall apart, as the game soft locks when you press it to open the doors if Link isn't in the room. This was a huge letdown, as speedrunners had just found a way to warp to the end of the game, only for it to have a soft lock. But fortunately, speedrunners are used to games trying to thwart their efforts to break them, and methods of picking the soft lock started being theorized. First, some events in the game's logic were identified that could be the culprits, as completing the requirements to pass these flags may break the soft lock, with Mr. Cheese theorizing that entering the dungeon normally instead of warping into it might satisfy the logic and make the dungeon completable. The problem with this solution, however, is that the dungeon's regular entrance isn't a spot you can wrong warp to, as you need to talk to Link after defeating some enemies to enter it properly. Players then theorized that clipping through the wall with the locked door could be another alternative, but no glitch had been found that achieved a wall clip, so the soft lock remained firmly shut. Things stalled here for about a day as players theorized and tried to find different ways of breaking the soft lock, and out of nowhere, Six Paths Panda uploaded a video that smashed the soft lock to pieces. If you pause the same frame you activate the switch and reload the save, you'll be brought back to the same room, except the doors leading to the next room will both be unlocked. And on proceeding, Link will be in the room with you, breaking the soft lock and letting you proceed to the final boss. This cut hours off the speedrun, with Onaku getting the first record the same day it was discovered with.
It's crazy like how hours can be dropped off. Like if you're committing to speedrunning a game and hours drop off, like it's crazy. But I can't imagine speedrunning a game for hours. Like at best you could do 2 a day, and 2 a day would still mean you're spending like 11 or 12 hours playing. Like that's wild.
They 128, but it could go much lower for 2 reasons. The first is that map storage and the soft lock skip are both precise tricks that can have a high fail rate, so players sometimes reset constantly just to make them work. And the second is that since Zelda doesn't have any powerful echoes or upgrades, Link has to do most of the work in battle. Link's AI doesn't always take the actions that let him deal lots of damage, and sometimes he can do things that are detrimental to the run itself. So runners are at the mercy of what the AI feels like doing in the final fight, which can add a ton of variance. But the next day on October 1st, these problems wouldn't stop Gymnast when he set the first sub-hour time. Using this route, the record dropped to 50 minutes and 42 seconds, which was set by Onaku. But there was still one problem. Players had to complete a large portion of the early game before they could get to a location where they could set up a void out for map storage. So if something could be found that voided them out earlier, they could save even more time. And do you have any guesses as to how they did this? Of course, they used a bed to reach the void out at the top of the map and set the menu storage up that way.
Gotta have a bed involved. It's so good. Like holy shit the amount of times I use the bed.
With it dropping another 8 to 10 minutes off the run, and a Tappy having the current record of 36:53. But the story doesn't end here, as players in Japan found a way to use map storage to bring Link to the overworld, which means that even in Zelda's own game, you can still play as Link. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next exciting episode of 36:53.
What was the end bit?
But the story doesn't end here, as players in Japan found a way to use map storage to bring Link to the overworld.
Yeah, glitch allows Link to freely play in Hyrule. That's very fun.
Which means that even in Zelda's own game, you can still play as Link.
I feel like it would have been fun if, like, after you beat the game, you could play as Link or something. I don't know. Maybe it, like, takes away the point, but what happens if you take Link to the end to meet Link? I don't know. Someone needs to nerf the bed. It's so good. Yeah. And yeah, so this was like October 9, this video, so I don't know how much more broken it's been since then. But it does not surprise me that breaking things involved a bed. I wasn't expecting the whole thing would kind of rely on a warp. That's not exactly what I was thinking. Okay, that was interesting. I didn't think it would be a warp. Like, I do feel like this video was interesting, but could have been maybe shorter. I don't know. It's not that long, but I feel like the problem was as soon as the warp was introduced, it was kind of like very obvious where it was going or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm being picky. But still, it was interesting. Yeah. Did I make space? I didn't really make a lot of space on my SSD before I started, did I? Good job. Probably fine. Okay, I can move 21. Alright, good enough. I don't know. It was interesting. Just, I feel like the warp thing came in like kind of early in the video, and it was obvious where it was going, but it was interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I wonder how much more broken it's become. I really thought a lot of the breaking would have just involved climbing and stuff, or yeah, like I figured the echoes would be more involved. Like they were needed, I guess, but the echoes weren't, well, I guess they did, because you needed the sign and that kind of stuff, but yeah, I guess it was just different kind of breaking than I was expecting. What else do we have that I want to watch? Oh yeah, this is a quick one. Because I never watched it. I'm assuming it's not going to be that interesting, but I never actually watched the Nintendo Music trailer. I was kind of curious about it. Let's make sure I mark what we've watched.
Listen to music from some of your favorite Nintendo games. Introducing Nintendo Music, a smart device app that lets you stream or download music to the app for offline listening. Nintendo Music.
Wait, why does that just look like YouTube? That looks very much like YouTube.
Nintendo Music features a variety of tracks from franchises such as Animal Crossing, The Legend of Zelda, Super Mario, and many more. You can listen to curated playlists based on different themes. From Princess Zelda to Yoshi.
Yeah, I'm very confused. That looks like a YouTube like playlist, right? Basically. Did they like utilize YouTube to make this? So what's your favorite video game theme? Piece of music? I honestly couldn't say. Music's always one of the things that kind of just blend in for me. Like, I don't really have strongest memory associations with music. Yeah, I don't know why. It's just one of them things kind of weird for me. So Nintendo Spotify, it seems like it. I'm not paying another music subscription. That's the thing I was actually curious about. Is this like a free cool thing, or are we about to be slapped with a monthly fee? This also looked like Spotify channel music suggestions. Oh, okay.
Some playlists feature music inspired by specific characters, while others are based on opening moments and boss battles. If you're looking for tunes that'll match your energy, there are even playlists to fit your mood.
Okay. I'm just waiting for a subscription price.
Can't find the playlist for you? You can also create your own. If you haven't had an opportunity to play a certain game and you're worried about spoilers, you can filter that music out.
I don't really know how that works, but that's good.
Allowing you to hide songs from that game. You can also extend the length of certain tracks. By
Okay, that's a cool feature. The Lost Woods of my alarm so long. Oh, okay.
extending the length or looping a track, you can spend more time with a particular song. From recent releases to nostalgic classics, more music will be added over time.
I mean, I'll say it's not for me, but this actually does look pretty solid.
Enjoy Nintendo game music, now on your smart device.
And now tell me you need a Nintendo Switch Online subscription or something.
Nintendo Music.
Nintendo Music launches today and is available exclusively to Nintendo Switch Online members.
How did I know? How did I know? So it's not a... So, I mean, okay. I mean, if you already have that, I guess cool. It's just... Yeah. Oh no, it's a Legend of Zelda Lost Woods theme. You spoiled the game for me. Yeah, I don't know what the spoilers really... I don't know how that works. Maybe because it might show bosses or something. I don't know, things like that. But I don't know. It's a cool feature if I don't really get it immediately. Oh, hiccup. But the Halo theme, Lost Woods, or Spark Mandrill theme from Mega Man X game. Okay. Yeah. At least setting value to Switch Online, because I don't know why I'm still paying for that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does just add value, I guess. It also just... It feels like one of those apps that could have just been free, though. Like, it seems like a really cool app. But I also feel like Nintendo's big enough that they could just, like, justify releasing something like this completely free. Just as, like, a really cool thing. Like, it's not like there wouldn't be value in them giving this out for free. It kind of keeps people, like, hooked into Nintendo type of thing. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like it could have definitely been free. All the songs are on YouTube for free. Well, there's that. Right? And remastered better than Nintendo would have done. Oh, yeah, some of that, yeah. I don't know, it seems like a pretty cool app overall. Like, the features seem pretty solid. But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could have done it free. Yeah. Another thing that's definitely a long way off being free that I have not seen the trailer of. I'm familiar with this and its price, but I haven't actually seen it properly. So I am curious. Alright, impress me, you overpriced clock.
This is Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo, an interactive alarm clock that's out of the ordinary. Let's see what it's like to wake up with Alarmo. Oh, Do you hear that? The alarm is going off. But Alarmo doesn't just play music to start your day. That's right. It responds to your body's movement with game sounds. Like here, with the sound of coins from Super Mario Odyssey. Or here, with the sound of ink splats from Splatoon 3.
This feels like a very noisy way to wake up. I mean, it'll definitely wake you up, but man, I don't normally use alarms like this.
And here, from The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. The music
Open your
combines
eyes.
with sound effects created by your movement.
Wake up, samurai. We have a seed to burn. Also, my wife would kill me if I bought this home. Well, probably wouldn't want to mention the price.
So you can start the day feeling like you're in the kingdom of Hyrule.
Saw a review, it's really loud. Oh, okay.
And when you get out of bed, oh, a fanfare plays and the alarm comes to an end.
I mean, it does seem like... I mean, an app could do all this, right? Like, your phone has, like, detection features and, like, with the camera and everything. Like, I feel like an app could really... Like, if you just have your phone on a stand, it could be this alarm clock, right? I mean, I don't know if there is one of those apps. But, I mean, in general, I hadn't really thought about it. She lets me spend money how I want, as long as the bills are paid. But I like to hit snooze and she hate me. Ah. Still, though, it's a pricey alarm clock.
You see, Alarmo detects movement with its motion sensor. And responds to your actions with sounds. When you get out of bed, Alarmo stops automatically, without you needing to touch it. Keep in mind, though, the alarm will get more intense the longer it takes for you to get up. So, rise and shine. You can set an alarm inspired by 5 games.
I feel like the tech inside it probably makes sense for the price. But, like, I do really wonder who the market is for this. Like, I wonder who's buying it. Like, you're just average person, like... Because it's so much money to spend on an alarm. Definitely aimed at kids. Yeah, but it's, like, out of a kid's price range. Like... I don't know, yeah.
Super Mario Odyssey. Pikmin 4. Splatoon 3. Ring Fit Adventure.
Uh-oh. I knew these guys would show up.
And
Wait. Uh-oh, I knew these guys would show up. It's an interesting thing to hear in the morning. The Zelda opinion. Zelda, open your eyes. 20 minutes later, Breath of the Wild Guardian theme. I don't know, it's like, it does seem kind of cool, I guess, but it does seem like it could be a phone app. And it feels like it's got a weird target audience with the price. Even if the price makes sense for the tech inside it. I don't know.
The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
Wake up, Link.
Each game features 7 alarm varieties, known as scenes. and they all have their own combination of music and sounds. And when you connect to the internet, you can get more alarms as free updates as they become available. Besides the alarm function, Alarmo is packed with features to support you throughout the day, such as sleepy sounds, which play when you get into bed and help you wind down. Records, which keep a log of your sleep and movement while in bed. And Hourly Chime, which features various Nintendo characters signaling the top of the hour. Add some play to the start of your day. Alarmo. For a limited time, Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo is only available for purchase online by paid Nintendo Switch Online members.
Oh, right, I forgot about that. When they first announced this, you had to be a Nintendo Switch Online member to even buy it. I feel like it's like, with what it does in the price point, it kind of feels like it's for like millennials, basically. Like people who have grew up gaming, they're still gaming a lot, they're well into gaming, and they also are doing well for themselves, because it's a lot to spend on like a fancy alarm clock when, you know, you can kind of cover it by just putting a theme on your phone and then putting it on a little stand and it plays in the morning. I don't know. Like, it feels like a lot of what you're paying for is like unnecessary. I mean, it's cool, like it's probably makes sense for the price, but yeah. I don't know. Sounds like government sign up to get my sleep data. No, thank you. Yep, so like our Disney aims for Disney adults, yeah. They're trying to make the membership the cool kids club. They do seem to like tying things to the membership, huh? Yeah. Okay. Well, what do I want to watch next? I do not know. It's because they already know they have primary fan base to target sales for, yeah. Yeah. What did it
In
say?
the
Neil's
US
the end?
and Canada, will also be
Oh, also available to all visitors to Nintendo New York store while supplies last. Oh, okay. Nintendo account and paid Nintendo Switch Online membership required for online purchase during early access period. So I assume after that it'll be fully available. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's interesting. I'll be curious to see how often they like update it and stuff. Hmm. Oh yeah, this video looked interesting. The most haunted places in Zelda. By Monster Maze. Yeah. I just ran this earlier. I just thought it looked good. Yeah, I just went through a few like channels because like I have permission to watch stuff by Monster Maze, so I thought this looked interesting. The most haunted places in Zelda. Yeah. And again, I'll have all the videos we watch and channels linked in the description after stream. I don't know which ones we'll get to and stuff yet, so. But yeah, they'll be linked later. But yeah, the alarm clock, I don't know. It's I mean, I feel like the music app, you know, if that just had an alarm, it'd cover most of it. I don't know. Yeah. But we'll check this out, I think. Should be interesting. I can imagine a few places this will cover, but we'll see.
When it comes to ghosts, I am somewhat of a skeptic. However, just because I don't believe in the paranormal in real life does not mean that I cannot be scared by the concept of a ghost. Whether it's a book, a movie, or a video game, I am more than capable of suspending my disbeliefs and being absolutely terrified by the ghostly activity on display. Being a fantasy series, The Legend of Zelda is also no stranger to the supernatural, be it the spirits of the deceased, demons, the living dead, shadow people, or anything else not found in the real world. Zelda has it all. So today let's go over some of the most haunted locations in the franchise. And when I say haunted, I'm specifically talking about ghosts, apparitions, spirits, specters, whatever you want to call them. The souls of the dead who continue to linger for one reason or another. In other words, no zombies, vampires, or mummies, or con artists, that kind of stuff. So without further delay, here are my picks for the most haunted locations in The Legend of Zelda.
Okay. Sanctuary Grave. Echoes of Wisdom. Regional and price-wise, the clock is out of reach. Oh, okay. Yeah, that too. For the, yeah, different parts of the world. Yeah.
Starting off with the new kid on the block, Echoes of Wisdom overall isn't exactly rife with spooky content. I mean, even the read-ads look kinda cute in this art style, I'm not gonna lie. Now, without spoiling too much, I will say that the antagonist does have some very unnerving and almost Lovecraftian characteristics. In fact, I would argue that it's probably one of the scariest Zelda villains to date, but that's a story for another video. That said, there is one location that has a pretty haunting and mysterious quality to it as well, which is the cemetery right next to the sanctuary. Here we can find a Hylian woman who explains that her grandfather is buried here, and that back when he was alive, he claimed to have discovered a secret staircase that leads into one of the graves here. She also mentions something about a stuffed toy her grandfather brought into the grave with him when he went exploring. A toy which was allegedly stolen away by a ghost. And well, turns out that the old man was telling the truth. One of the tombstones, which is considerably bigger than the other graves, does indeed have a stairwell hidden underneath it, granting access to a relatively large crypt of sorts.
The Shadow Dungeon from Ocarina of Time will be here, as will be the Arbiter Grounds from Twilight Princess. Yeah, there's a few places I can think of, but yeah, I didn't know this one. I don't think I visited this.
This underground burial site is absolutely crawling with ghosts, also known as guineas, including a much bigger variant known as a guinea level 2.
Yeah, I don't think I got these.
It's easily one of the most haunted burial chambers in the series, and one can only wonder how many people were ultimately buried here, and why their restless souls still linger to this day.
Don't think I did either. Yeah, I don't remember them.
Even more interesting is that the so-called stuffed toy the grandfather is said to have brought with him when he explored this place can also be found here, and as it turns out, it's a teddy bear. Strangely enough, the bear has a unique effect on guineas specifically in that they seem to be completely obsessed with it. When placed in their vicinity, they will gather around it like moths to a flame, giving you the opportunity to walk right by or get some free hits in. Just make sure you don't use a guinea of your own, because the teddy bear has the same effect on them as well.
Isn't guinea an old word for idiot? I'm not sure. It kind of sounds familiar, but I don't know.
In that sense, it's very similar to the meat echo and its effect on moblins, for example. A temporary distraction, in this case, for ghosts. Now, there is actually some in-game lore that explains this phenomena. The guinea echo description states that these wandering souls are eternally lonely and have the unfortunate tendency to lick potential friends, which is actually kinda sad. Unlike many other enemies, the guinea are not out to kill you, at least not on purpose. They simply see you as a potential companion, which has the unfortunate side effect of draining your life force. This is likely why the teddy bear draws their attention. It seems to fool them into thinking it's yet another friend they can attach themselves to. Again, pretty sad if you think about it. One last thing to mention is that there's actually another enemy who has a unique reaction to the bear, namely the Goo Spectre, which also happens to be a ghost type enemy just like the guinea. However,
So they haunters? Oh yeah.
However, instead of cherishing it, the Goo Spectre goes out of its way to destroy it, which is kinda interesting. I've experimented with a lot of different echoes, including some other ghost types like Pose and Moa, but none of them seem the least bit interested in the teddy bear. All except the Goo Spectre, who consistently goes after it with a vengeance. So yeah, while Echoes of Wisdom is pretty tame in terms of spooks and scares, the Sanctuary's haunted grave is definitely a paranormal hotspot. Factor in a creepy stuffed animal that attracts the spirits of the dead, and I think it's a worthy addition to the list of Hyrule's most haunted. And since we're on the topic of graveyards, haunted graveyards have become quite the staple in Zelda. If there's some kind of burial site present in the game, you can bet your sweet EMF meter that some ghostly activity is going on there. Of course, there are a lot to choose from. The one from A Link to the Past, the iconic graveyard from Ocarina of Time, Ikana Graveyard, Yol Graveyard from Oracle of Ages, the list goes on. But I had to give it to the OG graveyard from the first game. Not because it's the most scary, I mean, obviously not, but in terms of sheer numbers, this 8-bit graveyard definitely takes the cake. Because with the exception of one grave which hides a cave with an old man, which seems to be a bit of a pattern in these games, every single grave here will release a vengeful spirit if Link disturbs it. Even just brushing up against a tombstone by accident is enough to start a haunting. It's a good thing this kind of stuff doesn't happen in real life, because I don't think anyone would attend a funeral ever again.
But from ashes to ashes, and from dust to dust.
Oh shit, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, everyone.
A lot of graveyards, yeah. There is quite a few.
Moving away from graveyards and burial sites for a bit, next on the list is Ocarina of Time's Hyrule Field. If it's not skeletal remains springing up from the ground and attacking the living, it's ghosts, also known as Big Pose, plaguing unsuspecting travelers. Yeah, Hyrule Field is not exactly a place to go for a nice and peaceful stroll. What exactly caused the field to become so tainted by the paranormal is unknown, as neither the game nor the books explain this unusual activity. Some theorize that it may have been the site of a massive battle, like the brutal and bloody Hyrule Civil War, and that these are the restless remains of fallen warriors who continue to haunt these hypothetical battlegrounds after dark. As for the ghosts and their sudden appearance on Hyrule Field, we can also only guess. But since they only show up 7 years in the future, maybe they are victims of Ganondorf's takeover, who knows. Whatever the case may be, they apparently make for a good business venture for certain individuals.
Oh yeah, wait, so they only show up 7 years later? That kind of does suggest they died in that period. Huh. Problem is those are kid skeletons, which makes it worse. Oh yeah.
There are parts of Zelda 2's lore that are a little outdated and, dare I say, incompatible with the canon we know today, which, let's be fair, is mostly due to its age. That being said, it did introduce some ideas and concepts that would be adapted by later titles, like the existence of a third Triforce piece, or the idea of a crest appearing on the back of the hero's hand, even Dark Link, and perhaps most famously, the towns and villages, which are all named after characters that would appear more than a decade later in Ocarina.
Wait, it introduced Dark Link in Zelda 2? I didn't know that. And town is full of re-dead. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it gets super dark in Hyrule Castle Town. LJ, good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
The towns and villages, which are all named after characters that would appear more than a decade later in Ocarina of Time. And most notably, of course, the sages. Oh, and Mido for some reason. That is, all except one, the town of Kasuto, which is speculated to be named after a sage we've never seen before. The game features two versions of this settlement, the deserted town of Kasuto, or Old Kasuto, and another secret settlement known as the hidden town of Kasuto, which I will refer to as New Kasuto for the sake of convenience. We learn that at some point before Link's adventure kicks off, Old Kasuto came under siege by monsters, forcing its inhabitants to abandon their homes and flee east towards the coastline. Here they would establish a new town with the same name, hidden away inside the forest. Old Kasuto is referred to as a dead town, and with the exception of one ballsy old man, the place is completely devoid of life, giving rise to the first ghost town ever seen in the series. And when I say ghost town, I mean that quite literally, because despite the absence of people, Old Kasuto does have something else else inhabiting it, something that doesn't reveal itself until later. When you attempt to explore the abandoned village for the first time, Link will suddenly start taking damage for seemingly no reason. And without a guide telling you what's going on, I can only imagine the confusion some kids must have felt back in '87. Turns out Old Kasuto is entirely inhabited by ghost-like entities, also known as Moa. More specifically, the blue variant of the Moa, which are completely invisible unless you're in possession of the magic cross, an item which can only be obtained from a hidden dungeon nearby. In that sense, the cross is sort of a precursor to the Lens of Truth in a way, an artifact capable of revealing things that are invisible to the naked eye.
I really need to play Zelda 1 and 2. I feel like after all the ones I've played on the channel so far, like, it would be good to go back. Certainly, people talk very mixed about number 2, but it does seem like an interesting one.
Now, as far as I know, it's never really explained why this town in particular came under attack while the other settlements remained safe. Though it is worth mentioning that Old Kasuto is located close to a massive graveyard, which could be where the Moa originated from. So I don't know, maybe one of the townsfolk accidentally bumped into a gravestone and started the ghost apocalypse or something. Either way, as the first ghost town in the series, both literally and figuratively, Kasuto is definitely a worthy entry on today's list. Next up, we have one of the greatest icons of Hylian culture and architecture, Hyrule Castle. While the castle has posed a fair share of dangers and challenges to overcome in other entries, it's never really been a place known for being haunted. Corrupted knights, sure, traps and monsters of all...
Yeah, actually, have any of you played number 2? There is a I recall like running into like a fan version of number 2. I don't know if it was like an enhancement or... I forgot about that. Because I ran into it like just as someone released it. I rage quit 2 as a kid. Oh, okay. I've had a lot of like, yeah, it was very mixed going in the side scroll style, it seems. But like, is it actually really difficult?
All shapes and sizes, absolutely. But ghosts, not so much. At least not that I can think of. However, the same cannot be said about the castle in Twilight Princess. Here, it's actually one of the most haunted locations in the entire game. And we're not even talking about your typical ghost enemies like Pose, Guinea or Moa. No, these ghosts are different. For reasons unknown, this Hyrule Castle is rife with the spirits of what seem to be former Hylian soldiers.
Oh, right, yeah. I just kind of forgot about that. 2's combat was difficult back in the day, not just stacks up as of today. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll be really interested to play 1 and 2.
Not to be confused with these guys, you know, the ones you meet at the beginning. These soldiers are very much alive and are simply trapped in another dimension. The ones I'm talking about are most definitely deceased, and one look at them up close confirms as much. From the glowing eyes to their zombie-like appearance, these guys have been dead for quite a while, I would assume. In fact, aesthetically they have a lot in common with the
Yeah, they actually are pretty creepy looking.
hero Shade, aka Link from Ocarina of Time, who is also confirmed to have passed away.
Yeah, that part's so depressing, man.
There are 2 paranormal hotspots where these ghost soldiers are known to show up. A room inside the castle's interior and a small cemetery in the castle courtyard. The ones inside the castle will point out a safe passage across a series of platforms, some of which will fall down if Link steps on them. The ones in the cemetery will clue you in on the solution to a puzzle. There's a small group near a pedestal where you're supposed to place an owl statue, and another ensemble is standing in a circle near a tree and will point to a spot on the floor where you find a secret switch. These ghosts in particular are also connected to a character only known as the Cursed Swordsman, who is said to be buried near a sacred tree in this very graveyard. Once again, it's unknown why these former soldiers are haunting the castle, but given the fact that they provide help to the hero as opposed to being hostile, the implications might be similar to that of the hero Shade. In fact, many people, including myself, believe that the so-called Cursed Swordsman is likely referring to the hero Shade himself, who is indeed cursed in a way, stuck in the mortal realm until he can pass on his knowledge to a new hero. If Ocarina of Time...
It's so crazy how that's linked from Ocarina of Time, and like, it'd be so easy. Well, I didn't even know, like, originally, like, it's so easy to not know that. Like, you can go through the whole game and you're interacting with this Link who's died. Like, it's crazy. Man, really wish Nintendo would let me play Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. I've forgotten so much. Yeah, I guess because they did the HD on Wii U, they're less of a priority. I feel like the Switch was such an opportunity to like bring entire series, like, yeah, I feel like they would have sold so well. It would have been so worth it.
Link was a decorated soldier, which he definitely seems to have been. It only makes sense that they would have buried him at the castle. As such, the other ghosts we see could be the knights he commanded while serving in the Hylian army, and they too are unable to move on until Hyrule has been freed from the clutches of Ganondorf.
Nobody bought the Wii U, that's the problem. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
The locations we've discussed so far have, in large part, earned their spot on the list due to the sheer number of ghosts that inhabit them. But this is not the case with the Knights Academy from Skyward Sword. Here, it's not the number of ghosts present, but rather the severity of the haunting. In fact, it might be the only example where a ghost actually attaches itself to an individual for an extended period of time, causing both physical and mental distress. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into it here, since I already made a video about this very subject in great detail. But in a nutshell, the Knights Academy is home to a female poltergeist only known as Feeny. She initially haunts the school bathroom on the first floor, where she can be heard making some rather unsettling sounds. Unsurprisingly, the supernatural cries and moans don't go unnoticed for very long, and quickly catch the attention of some of the students as well as the school staff, none of which know what exactly is going on. When Link enters the bathroom after dark, the source of the creepy sounds makes itself known in the form of a creepy, ghostly hand reaching out from the toilet bowl.
That is not what I want coming out of the toilet. That is not comfortable.
And for whatever reason is begging for paper.
I mean, a whole hand? Ay, ay, ay.
Even ghosts need to wipe once in a while. Now, around the same time the haunting at the academy starts, a side quest will present itself, one in which a student named Colin wants you to deliver a love letter on his behalf. From this moment on, you have a choice. Either you do as instructed and present the letter to Colin's crush, or you can give the letter to Feeny instead.
I'm pretty sure I did that, didn't I think? I need to play Skyward Sword properly. I'm really looking forward to it now I have a proper controller set up. There's also a fan animation called The Legend of Zelda Hero's Purpose to add salt to the wound. Oh yeah. I haven't watched that, have I? Yeah, I think I did this when we played Skyward Sword. I remember the hand and stuff. Yeah, I need to play it properly. I'm really looking forward to it now, because I've got a really good controller set up now. It's gonna make it so much better.
If you choose the second option, it'll cause Feeny to fall in love with Colin, and in what is perhaps one of the cruelest fates ever seen in a Zelda game, she latches herself onto him, caressing him in his sleep and uttering words of affection night after night, which perhaps unintentionally leads to Colin having horrible nightmares, possibly for the rest of his life. Again, if you want to see a more in-depth coverage of this, including my own theories and speculation, I highly recommend watching my Curious Case of Skyloft video. But for now, I will say that this is definitely one of the most chilling hauntings in the franchise.
What is with Zelda and hand toilets? That happened in Majora's Mask as well. I'm now realizing. There should not be 2 games in a series with hand toilets. That's a one-off thing. You don't get 2 of those. Then I start to question things. Jesse, watch it, but hasn't gone back from Major League. Ah, that's who it was. Yep, right. Hand toilet equals bidet of the future. I think that's more than a bidet. Some people are into that. I mean, maybe, but a whole hand? That's ambitious. God damn.
The Forest Temple is one of my favorite dungeons in any Zelda game thus far, and it just so happens to feature some prominent paranormal activity as well. In fact, it's part of its central mechanic. As you set foot inside the dungeon proper, 4 ghosts will manifest, each of which will steal a flame from one of 4 torches and takes off with it. This will prompt the elevator in the center to deactivate, which is the only way to reach the boss. As such, the goal is to hunt down all 4 ghosts, recover their stolen flame, and bring back power to the elevator. So, who are these ghosts? Well, unlike the conventional pose in the game, these four actually have names. Joelle, Beth, Amy, and Meg, which is actually a reference to the four main characters from a novel called Little Women, published in 1868. Collectively, they are known as the Poe sisters, and their backstory has been theorized about ever since Ocarina of Time came out. What we do know for sure is that they are siblings, and that back when they were alive, they were women of nobility, priestesses who allegedly lived and worshipped at the Forest Temple before it fell into ruin. Interestingly enough, they also appear in Majora's Mask, under the same names no less. And here we even learn which order the sisters were born in, with Amy being the youngest, then Joelle, Beth, and finally Meg as the oldest. Of course, we do have to keep in mind that by all accounts, these are different characters from a parallel dimension, so this knowledge may not apply to the ones from Ocarina.
Would? I'm sure you aren't the only one.
And that's about all we know about the Poe sisters. Everything else is conjecture. We don't know how they died or when, or why their spirits rose from the grave to begin with, though there are of course plenty of theories. Some suggest that the Forest Temple, which has all the characteristics of a stronghold, may have come under siege, at which point its occupants destroyed the only staircase leading into it, possibly as an attempt to delay the invading force. However, given its current state, we can assume that it didn't keep the temple safe indefinitely, and it and its inhabitants eventually succumbed to whoever or whatever came knocking at the door. Whatever the case, something terrible must have happened at the Forest Temple to cause its former host to linger here even in death, because according to the lore, Poes are known to haunt the mortal realm due to strong feelings of rage and hatred. Speaking of which...
I wonder if that's why the Lost Woods is cursed? Oh yeah. Oh, where was that? Oh, yep, Service, right. You said Arbiter's Grounds, didn't you? Yeah. Good call.
If we're gonna talk about the Forest Temple, we have to include the Arbiter's Grounds as well, because the two dungeons have quite a lot in common. The first half of the Arbiter's Grounds is very much identical to the Forest Temple in terms of its central mechanic. 4 torches, 4 ghosts. Though these ghosts are a little more disturbing than the Poe sisters, I would say. They take on the shape of a very tall zombie-like figure wearing a cloak of sorts, a bit like a wraith or a dementor. As far as the lore goes, we know even less about these guys. No names, no origin story, nothing. But since we're on the topic of dementors, it could be that they served a similar role. After all, the Arbiter's Ground served as a prison and execution site. I mean, what better way to prevent inmates from escaping than to use a bunch of undead monstrosities to serve as prison guards? Though it is also possible that they were still living people back when they served the prison. 9-foot tall people, that is. Other theories suggest that they may have been executioners, or maybe were prisoners themselves. It's all up in the air, really. But
hello, the cats. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Arbiter Grounds was an execution ground, so it's going to be haunted. Yeah. The same thing as you, yeah. Yeah, definitely haunted. I think that's covered.
Personally, I do prefer the idea of a Dementor-like prison guard. Oh, and aside from the 4 main ghosts, there's also an abundance of rodents who apparently also decided to hang out at the prison after death, tormenting unsuspecting visitors by piling up on them and weighing them down. Why
Oh yeah, those little shits.
or how a ghost even has weight is anyone's guess, but it sure is annoying. All in all, I think the Arbiter's Grounds are just as worthy of a spot on the list as the Forest Temple is. Its 4 ghosts may be a bit more vague and ambiguous than the Poe sisters, but their creepy aesthetics more than make up for it.
Ghost ship. Oh, Phantom Hourglass. Okay, one I haven't played.
Not to be confused with the ghost ship from the Wind Waker, which only consists of 1 small room. The haunted vessel from Phantom Hourglass is definitely on a whole nother level. Not only is it massive, it's also home to some very dangerous and unsettling enemies, like the Reaplings, which are these Grim Reaper type enemies who patrol the ship's interior and who are basically immortal. They can be avoided or stunned, but they cannot be killed. On top of that, they can also move and see through walls and will deal 2 hearts of damage, which is double the attack power of that of a regular phantom. You also gotta love the localization for these guys. In Japanese they're called Hell Dead, which is just hardcore, and in French their name translates to Damned Soul. As for the Germans, they just call it Zombie. Very creative. However, by far the creepiest thing on this entire ship are these quote-unquote little girls. Right off the bat, you know there's something wrong with them. I mean, come on. The creepy smile, the soulless black eyes, they ain't fooling anyone. Unfortunately, you are forced to go along with their little charade, and once you bring all 4 of them to safety, they will show their true form, which funnily enough is actually less scary than their disguise. On top of all that, the entire ship itself is also closely tied to Bellum, which is arguably one of the creepiest Zelda villains in the franchise, capable of consuming the soul of any living being, leaving nothing more than an empty husk.
The Earth Temple. I'll need a refresher.
This next one kind of
Oh, right. Yeah, when you start off and use the mirror shield, right.
speaks for itself, I would say. The Earth Temple is basically Poe Central, who not only deal damage in this game, but can even possess you temporarily, rendering its host dazed and confused, which is honestly kind of a disturbing thought. The idea that these beings enter your body and mess with your mind and motor functions. Safe to say this underground sanctum is absolutely crawling with these entities, even more so if you factor in the final boss, Jalhalla, which
Fun fact, during the 50s, 70s, almost all kaijus or movie monsters were called Frankenstein when being marketed to the Germans. Oh, really? Okay.
is the culmination of dozens of Poes merging together into one giant ball of ectoplasm. How the temple came to be so haunted is never touched upon, but it definitely fits the idea of an old abandoned crypt deep underground. Yes, it is technically a temple, i.e. a place of worship, but the many stone coffins definitely suggest that it served as some sort of burial site also. Besides that, I don't really have much to say about this place, other than the music is cool and probably one of my favorite ambient dungeon tracks. But if you want to know more, I can recommend watching The Lore of the Dungeons Wind Waker Edition by Bandit, which is a collaborative miniseries featuring many different Zelda creators, in this case with the man himself, Zeltic. And speaking of Zeltic, he made a video all about Redeads, which includes a significant section about the Earth Temple as well, so go check it out.
Alright. Bottom of the well. Right, that's in that village. The other one's blocked up. God, my memory's terrible.
Yeah, I think you
Oh, this place, yeah.
saw this one coming from a mile away.
Zeltic makes some good videos. I'll check it out. Yeah, I definitely remember this place. Like, as soon as I see this, yeah, now I remember everything. The layout. Yeah, I always think that, like, you get that one little thing to jog my brain and then it's all there.
The bottom of the well and
Yeah, to drain the well. Shadow Temple. Yeah, I remember underneath now, yeah.
the Shadow Temple, which I will treat as a pair. In fact, it's theorized that the two may have been connected and part of the same structure at one point, given their similar aesthetics and architecture. I'm gonna be honest, I almost didn't include these two on the list, because first of all, it's become a bit of a cliche at this point, you know? You mentioned creepy locations in Zelda, and the Well and Shadow Temple are guaranteed to top the list, for good reasons, of course. Secondly, though they are definitely one of the most disturbing places in the series to date, my reasoning was that they're actually pretty light on ghost activity. I mean, in terms of enemies, the vast majority fall more or less in the undead corpse category, which I already mentioned is not the main focus for today's list. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that they absolutely fit the bill, and I was just making excuses not to include them. As one of my Discord members pointed out to me, Bongo Bongo himself is most definitely a ghost-like entity, and one of the most dangerous and destructive ones at that. He also haunts both areas, starting with the well where he was imprisoned, and then moving to the Shadow Temple after he escapes.
The original version had a lot of blood. Yeah, I think what I played had blood, because I did use a restoring thing for a couple of things. Yeah, I think.
Aside from that, and I'm embarrassed that I didn't even consider this sooner, but even though we don't visually see a lot of ghosts besides Bongo Bongo, it's pretty evident that there's a lot of restless spirits trapped inside these walls. In fact, they speak to you on several occasions, and in one instance when you're riding the ferry to the last area, you can see a whole bunch of spirits ominously drifting by. So
It sends it a lot for the 3DS. Oh, that's disappointing.
Oh yes, the bottom of the well and the Shadow Temple are without a doubt one of the most active ghost sites ever conceived in The Legend of Zelda, and have earned their spot on the list 10 times over.
Icona.
You probably saw this one coming as well. However, unlike the well in the Shadow Temple, Ikana was never off the table for me. It is by far one of the most haunted locations in the series, so much so that it's home to a paranormal investigator who studies the area for this very reason. Sure, just like the previous entry, it does feature a lot of undead enemies, like Gibdo, Redeads, Stell Children, and Stelfos. Though in the case of the last two, they are both resurrected skeletons and ghosts at the same time. The ghosts of royalty and their loyal soldiers who once commanded a powerful kingdom the region is named after, the Kingdom of Ikana, which fell into ruin a long time ago. Unlike the conventional style enemies, they're not mindless heaps of resurrected bones. They still maintain their intelligence and personalities, and will continue to fulfill their duties, almost as if time stood still for them and the kingdom is still in its prime. We also meet the two composer brothers, Flat and Sharp, who are former servants of the Old Kingdom and continue to haunt Ikana as well. And of course, the Poe Collector and the Poe sisters mentioned previously also make this place their home. And last but certainly not least, we have the Garo, the spirits of long-dead ninjas who were once at war with the Kingdom of Ikana. In fact, it's believed that this very conflict, which was long, bloody, and ultimately undecided, is what led to the kingdom's downfall. And now, countless years later, the battle still rages on. Not in life, but in death.
The depths. Oh yeah.
So far we've talked about haunted graveyards, buildings, a moving vessel, even an entire province. So I think it's only fitting that we end with the biggest haunted location by far. An entire subterranean world. A world of the dead, if you will. While the depths show signs of several types of activity, some of which concerns the living like housing, mining, entertainment, and so on, it's heavily implied that the main function of the depths is to serve as a temporary home for spirits. A kind of supernatural terminal from which the souls of the deceased will eventually travel to the afterlife, wherever or whatever that may be. The depths are absolutely littered with lost souls, not just in the form of Poes, but also these shadow ghosts who are implied to be soldiers who lost their life during the calamity from Breath of the Wild.
I feel like this all like it's like technically true, but I feel like the depths is nowhere near as creepy as like some of the other areas. Like I feel like the yeah, I feel like the bottom of the well, Shadow Temple, like some of the stuff in Ocarina of Time, like it's probably more. Like this is a large area, but I didn't really find it creepy at all.
They mainly reside beneath memorial sites on the surface. Spearheading this whole operation are massive talking statues.
You skip most of it. I mean, I was down there a decent amount in the end, but I don't know. Didn't really have a creepiness to it. It's just very dark.
Known as the Bargainers, whose main purpose is to guide these lost souls to the afterlife without passing judgment. I could go on and on about this place, but I actually already made a whole video about the lore implications of the depths, in particular its striking similarity to the Japanese underworld of Yomi. And not to toot my own horn too much, but the video has since become more relevant because, as it turns out, Tears of the Kingdom Masterworks actually confirms that the depths were indeed inspired by the Shinto underworld, which is a very cool piece of confirmation. I can also recommend two more videos, one from Moxie Watts and one from Nintendo Black Crisis, both of which are deep dives into Tears of the Kingdom's underworld.
That's the problem with censorship requirements changing. You get away with it more in the 90s. Yeah. Yeah, stuff like that sucks because it can take away from some of like the atmosphere and stuff. When it's pitch black, yeah, it's creepy. Yeah, I guess like I think one thing in Tears of the Kingdom is like I never felt weak in it. Like it always kind of felt like had options. I don't know. It was a cool area, don't get me wrong. I'm like, yeah, that was a cool area. Just, yeah.
Like the mythology surrounding the Bargainer statues, for example. So go check it out if you're interested. And that concludes my list of the most haunted locations in Zelda. If you feel like I've missed anything or have your own list to share, I look forward to read your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, thank you to my Patreons and channel members, and I hope to see you all next time.
Okay. Well, that was the most haunted places in Zelda by Monster Maze, which channel and video will be linked in the description later. Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, some definitely stand out more than others to me. The going back to like the Zelda 2 stuff was interesting. Definitely makes me want. I really want to play the originals. They weren't really on my main list, but I feel like with how many of them I've played on the channel, and there's still a few more I want to play. Like, I feel like if I'm going to play all those, I really should play 1 and 2, even if they're a little rough to get through. Like, if I'm doing it on stream, it's not going to be so bad. Yeah. I think I'm kind of tempted. I don't know for sure yet. It might be something else in between, but I honestly wouldn't mind starting Skyward Sword after Mario and Luigi. It's so much better to play with my new controller setup. Like it's unbelievable. It just feels normal now. It's so good. Oh yeah, this is a pretty short one. It's only 12 minutes. New Super Mario 64 record, which I am curious to see. Shocking new Super Mario 64 world record by Carl Jobst. Yeah, I don't know. I would have thought records are pretty much done with in this game by now, but I guess not. So I thought it'd be an interesting one to check out.
Hello, you absolute legends. In July of last year, I released a video titled, "This Guy's the Greatest Super Mario 64 Player Ever." In that video, I talked about the player Suigi, who had just done something we have never seen in modern-day SM64 speedrunning. He had just achieved the 70-star record and simultaneously held 4 out of the 5 possible main category world records. The first and only time this has ever been done was way back in 2010, by the player Shigeru. But at that time, the SM64 speedrunning scene was only just beginning to blossom, and competition wasn't anywhere near as fierce as it is today. And that's why when Suigi replicated this feat in 2023, it was so much more impressive. Suigi held the 0, 1, 16, and 70-star world records, and the only thing left for him to conquer was the 120-star category. But this is a different beast entirely. The 120-star category includes every star, which means you are forced to get every star that we choose to ignore into these shorter categories. These are the longest, the most difficult, and oftentimes riskiest stars in the entire game. 120 star is more than double the length of the second longest category, which means there is so much more time to make mistakes. There is so much more time to let nerves get the better of you, which is why many people weren't sure if Suigi had what it took, even though he had clearly shown that he was arguably the most talented player to ever touch the game. However, Suigi was determined. For the next year, he dedicated himself to learning 120 star, and he really did things the right way. His practice methodology was immaculate. While so many people, including myself, were impatient and just wanted to see him do runs, Suigi took the more mature and long-term approach of focusing on each level one at a time and not moving on until he had each and every star dialed in to a very high level. When Suigi did start doing runs, his time dropped insanely quickly, and
I mean, they still run Super Nintendo games? Yeah, for sure. I wish I had a video of the first time I encountered a temple boss down there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I record like everything I play these days, even offline. I don't know, I like it. It was the Wind Temple boss? Oh, okay.
just over a week ago, he had gotten to within 1 minute of the world record.
I saw the shadow on the ground, thought the game was glitching. I looked up and cue boss music. Here was the wing shadow. Oh, okay.
Personal best was 1 hour and 37 minutes flat, and the world record held by Ouija was 1:36:02. Normally at this point, as your time gets better and better, your progress starts to slow down. So naturally, Suigi and everyone else expected him to get a few personal bests, get a few runs that were 1:36, and then eventually aim to break that prestigious minute barrier with a 1:35. But what Suigi actually did was the most shocking thing I've seen in a long time. he completely skipped 136 and smashed through the 136 barrier by achieving a run of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 33 seconds, beating the world record by half a minute. The last time we have seen a minute barrier or world record broken by such a huge margin was way back in 2015, which makes no logical sense whatsoever, given that the game naturally gets more optimized as time goes on.
Yeah, but goddamn, like, he spent like a year learning it. Like, oh, it's just, I feel like speedrun's so interesting, but man, you've got to be wired a certain way to be able to do that. Like, that's just wild. Someone found out how to get the stall horse out of the underground so it didn't die in sunlight. Oh, okay. Interesting. Huh.
This world record is historic. It all but cements Suigi as the greatest player of all time. It smashes another important minute barrier, and what's interesting is that the run itself defies all logic in the way it played out. In today's video, we will take a quick look at this incredible new record, and what it means for the future of Super Mario 64 speedrunning. I really hope you enjoy. Now legends, I really hope you're all looking after yourselves. I want you to off their award-winning skincare trial set. So just click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen and use code CarlJob70 to try Geology and start looking your very best today. To put Suigi's new record into perspective, we need to first look at the previous world record held by Ouija. It was a time of 136.02, agonizingly close to breaking the 136 barrier. For the past couple of years, I think it's safe to say that Ouija has been the best player in this category, and arguably still is. And in a lot of ways, he single-handedly revolutionized the game. Ouija began as a dominant force in these shorter runs, even at one point achieving the 16-star world record. It would be later in his career that he would focus on 120-star and show how good he could be in the longer category. And what Ouija did that was so game-changing is incorporate a lot of the more difficult strategies that players would usually only try to do in shorter runs. Obviously, the 120-star run collects the same stars as the shorter runs, but in the past, there would always be a clear distinction in the strategies players used. The 16-star and 70-star players always used faster and more difficult strategies, and the 120-star players used slower but safer strategies in order to mitigate risk. But Ouija really started to eliminate this distinction, and over the past few years, the game has evolved to the point where a lot of the time, the strategies between the longer and shorter categories are now indistinguishable.
I just couldn't, I'm just like, the record's like 135 something still. It's like, like an hour and a half per run, where you could make so many mistakes, like, over and over and over and over. I just can't imagine doing it.
If you look at the best ever splits in the 120-star category, you can see that Ouija holds the record for almost all of them, right up until the last level, Rainbow Ride. This means that no one else has been as fast as Ouija at every step of the speedrun until Suigi overtook him right at the very end to beat his record. And this is what makes Suigi's new record pretty crazy. Normally, 120-star runs start fast, and as the run progresses, players steadily bleed time. You can see at the start of Ouija's previous record, his best possible time is 133.20. This means he would achieve that time if he plays as good as he ever has for every portion of the speedrun. But of course, no one plays perfectly, and over the span of the run, mistakes cause time to be lost. Ouija was always really fast. He was so fast that he had runs that would have been low 135 or maybe even 134 pace if he could only finish the run without any major errors. But he always seemed to lose major time somewhere in the second half. Suigi's most recent run, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. The first half of Suigi's run was extremely average. In fact, the run was so slow that after making another mistake 37 minutes in, Suigi literally said that the run was over.
I love beating the crap out of this game, but this level of dedication is admirable. Yeah, it's like, yeah. I said, I think it's something you just got to be wired for. Like, yeah, it takes a certain type of brain to be able to engage, like, repeating over and over like this. It's just not me. But it's so interesting to watch. Like, it's interesting to keep up with. But yeah,
happened, but okay, cool.
This really was such a cool game for the N64 though too. Like, man, Nintendo did some great stuff with their system. Like, there's a few third-party standouts, but man, the first-party stuff on the N64, they did some really good stuff. Like, obviously this and Ocarina of Time, like, standing out the most, I feel like.
Wow. Just fucking get in the lava. This run is pretty over.
After collecting the Vanish Cap, Suigi was more than a minute slower than Ouiji's world record. Yes, you heard that right. 40 minutes into the run, he was already 1 minute and 10 seconds behind Ouiji. At the same point in the run, Ouiji's best possible time was still a 1:33, while Suigi's was already a 1:35. This means in the entire last hour of the run, Suigi was more than a minute and a half faster than Ouiji, and he only lost 30 seconds against his own theoretical best. And that's even with a missed Bowser throw at the end, which cost more than 10 seconds alone. This is stupidly good. Instead of suffering from nerves, Suigi seemed to play better and better as the run progressed. There honestly isn't much to say about the second half of Suigi's run other than that he played really, 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 really good.
But so if he played like better in the first, he would have like, what, cleared it by like 2 minutes? Like... Actually, there is another video after this about him, so I'm guessing he continues and gets another one. Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time were such standouts. And the next gen we had Halo and Half-Life. Yeah. Yeah, the leaps back then were crazy. Actually, I get it. I perform better under pressure as well. Yeah. But like when you're doing it so many times a day, every day, I just couldn't imagine. But yeah, the generational leaps back then were so wild. Yeah.
By every metric, this second half is by far the fastest anyone has ever done in history. Suigi even managed 4 gold splits, which briefly caused his best possible time to go back down below 1:35. Obviously, Suigi's technique is amazing, but what really stands out is also his ability to minimize the negative impact of mistakes. There were many times throughout the run where he missed a jump or made some mistake that messed up his movement, but he didn't let it faze him, and he was always extremely quick to recover. Dampening the negative impact of mistakes is such an important skill, because I've seen other top players make the exact same mistakes and lose so much more time. And it's clear that Suigi has spent a lot of time learning backup strategies. For example, in this star, he missed a triple jump off the arch, and backed it up immediately by triple jumping off a nearby sign. Suigi appears ice cold throughout the entire second half, but it's clearly not because he isn't feeling some intense emotions. We know that he must be feeling something, because at the end of his run, his reaction is one of the most emotional I've ever seen.
What the fuck, man? You're not human? Skull. To go.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! What did I just do? Oh my god!
God damn.
Everything about this run is insane.
That was quite the reaction. God damn. Oh yeah, each generation had its benchmark. I don't feel like we have those anymore. Like now it's no longer a tech issue, but a design issue. Yeah, we don't really have them leaps anymore. Yeah. Whereas like back then, going from like the SNES to the N64 and PS1, and then the like GameCube, Xbox, and PS2, like, yeah, those were some huge leaps. But they also like, they all had their own games that still hold up too. Like some of the JRPGs on the SNES are still like really good. But then, yeah, I think that was a nice thing about those. Like, you kind of had these tech leaps, but each generation still had games that hold up to this day despite there being these leaps. Yeah. Like some of the pixel art games on the SNES are so good. Like Super Mario World is still a good 2D platformer. You know, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, these are like good standout JRPGs. Like, yeah. I mean, dude had a year worth of work tied up into it. Glad he was happy with it. Oh yeah, it's probably yeah. Yeah, it's a lot.
Suigi skipped over 136 completely and beat his personal best by 1.5 minutes. He smashed through the 136 barrier, breaking it by the biggest margin we have seen in a decade. With this record, he proved to the world that he can be just as dominant in the longest category as he can in the shortest. And it has to be repeated that at one point this run was over a minute slower than the previous world record. If Suigi cleans up his starts and can be just as quick as Ouija in the first half, he is totally capable of achieving a 134, which would be utterly mind-blowing. But what is even more exciting for me is the prospect of Suigi holding all 5 of the main category world records.
I'm assuming he may do that too, because this was actually an older video, like it's new, but there's a newer video that's actually longer as well about him.
Suigi spent more than a year working on his 120-star run. During that time, he did manage to keep the 0, 1, and 16-star world records, but his 70-star world record did ultimately get beaten by the runner Ikori. I asked Suigi if he was planning on going back to the 70-star record, and he said that right now he is still focused on 120 and taking that as low as he can. But he said the 120-star grind has made him a far better player than he was when he last played 70. So if and when he does decide to go back to 70-star, he is going to do some serious damage. Suigi's shorter category world records are still light years ahead of second place, so they are probably very safe in the meantime while we wait. And if Suigi does get 5 out of 5, which if it isn't obvious by now he can clearly do, this will be, in my opinion, the greatest achievement in speedrunning history. In any case, Suigi has already placed himself firmly at the top of the greatest SM64 players of all time. While his career has been relatively short compared to a runner like Cheese, who has been dominant in 120-star for many years, no one else in modern times has been anywhere near as overall strong as Suigi in all categories. It's not even close. Thank you so much for watching, you legends. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video.
Yeah, that was a shocking new Super Mario 64 world record by Carl Jobst. And yeah, so there's actually a longer video that come out. This was a month ago, so it's still pretty recent. But there's a newer one about the same person, so I'm guessing they achieve an even higher record, which is pretty wild. Yeah, I don't know. I just find speedrunning stuff really interesting to keep up with. What are we watching next? I wouldn't mind well, so yeah, there's a 21-minute video that's more recent, about the same person. But okay, this is only an 8-minute video, but it's something I've been meaning to check out. I don't know how many of you guys will be interested. Depends if you can appreciate a classic. Yeah, this is Croc Remastered vs Original Croc Graphics Showdown by Gaming My Whole Life. Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to the Croc Remaster. I plan to stream it. It's childhood right there, so yeah, I do want to play it. And I know I'm curious about this, so thought we would check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. Croc Legend of the Gobbos Remaster is coming to PC and consoles, as confirmed by the original developers, Argonaut Games. Now, the exact release date is not yet confirmed, but it is coming out sometime this year in 2024. Keep in mind there's only 4 months left of the year, so expect it to come out very, very soon.
How are you feeling about the Soul Reaver remake? As long as they're faithful, like, I'm all for it. I haven't looked much at it, I only know it's kind of happening and stuff, but Yeah, I'm glad it's happening. They're really cool games. Are they? I don't even know if they're out yet. I knew they were happening, and that's all. Like I really haven't kept up or anything. So as long as they're faithful and play well, yeah. I've never heard of Croc till now. Ah, okay. It's a lesser known, but I feel like still kind of beloved by people who did know it. Pretty like, it's a 3D platformer, but it's, what's it most similar to? I think it's 10th, let me double check. Oh, okay. Yeah, Croc was just kind of it was a simpler, in some ways, like 3D platformer, but I don't know, it was very comfy. I don't know.
I thought it would be fun to compare the graphics head to head to each other. So the original Croc, which 2 years ago,
I guess it's kind of most similar to maybe Spyro, that kind of 3D platformer.
I uploaded a review on it, so we'll use my own game footage of the original Croc. Let's compare it to the new one to see, has there actually been any updates? Because funnily enough, this trailer doesn't compare the brand new footage to the old game, which is very surprising. When I covered Yooka Replay-E, which is the remaster of the ukulele game, which I absolutely loved and I covered on this channel, did a technical analysis just like I'll do today, the developers were kind enough to have it literally side by side, let us see the differences. They were not that friendly in Croc, so when I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, that looks better.
Yep, the 10th for Soul Reaver. Oh, okay, awesome. Spyro's a jam, as was Crash. Yeah, the first trilogy for both of them, God, I played them so much. Like, love them. But yeah, there's also Croc, which I played on PC. And yeah, I think I'd compare it to Spyro, probably.
I think, I don't know, they haven't done the side-by-side, so that's where I come in. I'll do the side-by-side, so then you can see that, yes, changes and upgrades and improvements have been done. In a little bit of a controversial opinion, there's some areas I'm not happy about. So we will definitely cover that as well. Now, before proceeding, let me firstly tell you everything that has officially been confirmed up until this point, so then I can respect your time and you get the most out of this video in case you don't watch it all the way through. At least hit me up with a like and let's proceed. Alrighty, so what do we know? As I said, coming to PC and consoles. It will also have updated modding controls, which I will remind you why that is a good thing. The original
Croc, I was about to say, yeah, it had tank controls. That was, you kind of got used to it, but it wasn't great.
Croc has tank controls. Think Lara Croft from Tomb Raider or the original Resident Evil video games. Now, this naturally translates to, if you push the joystick forward, Croc will do the same now. So we don't need to think too hard about that, and that's obviously a very welcome addition in 2024.
Honestly, that's like all I would need for Croc. Just give me like normal controls.
Also, it is not ruled out that there will not be a toggle option, so maybe old school fans such as myself can enjoy a tank control option. Now, what is easily and often forgotten about the PlayStation 1 era of games, especially the early games, is most games did not support joysticks. Sure, the twin pistol joysticks came out later on the PlayStation 1, but most of us only had controllers with the D-pad. As a result, there was no rotating the camera with the right joystick just like we do today. It was very rare and introduced later on. This was often done instead with the shoulder buttons, and Croc was no exception. So simply having the ability to run around with the left joystick and rotate the camera freely in Croc will be an absolute new addition. And having a look at the screenshot, which I'm sure I've had on the screen, or at least it's popping up now, this angle of Croc running around and the camera being so close to the ground looking up, that was literally not possible with the original design. So we can confirm at the very least, not that it's too much of a big deal, but we can confirm there is a free roaming full camera control in this game.
I mean, it would have been crazy if they didn't, but it kind of is a big deal, even though that, like, cause yeah, it was like the worst thing about Croc to me. Yeah.
And that's good. That means we can rotate the camera, we can perv on all the graphics, we can do that. All right, what else do we know that has been confirmed? Well, it does include the Crockipedia, and I quote, an extensive and meticulously curated digital museum containing long-lost development assets such as game design documents, concept art, animation tests, team member interviews, and much more. So getting to see some smexy behind the scenes sort of things, that's always nice to get some behind the scene goodies. And I'll drop a fun fact on here for you as well, just in case you didn't know. Does Croc remind you of Yoshi from the Super Mario series by any chance? Well, the development of the original Croc game was actually a Yoshi game. No, seriously, that's right. I honestly speak the truth here. When the team pitched their idea to Nintendo originally, they were rejected, but of course decided to proceed with the game anyway and make it their own. So that's why Croc may remind you of Yoshi. Originally he was Yoshi. Nintendo didn't give the green light. Okay, cool. They went ahead and made Croc and we're all glad for it. Alrighty, that's all the confirmed info. And now it's time to compare the graphics and see if it is actually better than the original. Let's proceed, right? Let's break down this new Croc Legend of the Gobos remaster video. I looked at the polygons, I looked at the textures, I looked at everything. Let's proceed. So firstly, have the 3D models, have they been changed or updated? The answer is yes. There are more polygons and this makes objects look more smooth instead of blocky. We can see this by looking at Croc's eyes. Also the wood stump that he's standing on. Before he had the straight lines, now it's smoother. Let's look at a more obvious example of this B comparison. I don't need to tell you the one on the left is from the original and straight from my game footage, and the right is from the remaster. While character models have been updated, the actual environment seems untouched. Where the war sticks out at points, it still does. Not a complaint, but surprising just how one-to-one it can be to the original. The textures and materials, so in other words, what you see on the outside, has received the most noticeable changes. The B shows it the least as far.
I feel like this is all it really needs, honestly. Just like, because Croc's just Croc, like, smooth it out, better controls. Yeah. Oh, the FFX music hits hard.
As far as the texture is concerned, but if we look at this floating platform, you can see it's now much more detailed, clearer, and frankly, the game world itself is brighter as a whole.
I do like the coloring I'm seeing, because like, I really like the Spyro remaster they did, but I really liked the colors of the original.
Another example here is the starting area of the game. This is the exact same spot across the two games, and you can see it looks like the same textures are used, but at a much higher resolution. Looking at this, it feels like a PC port of a game, where the left side is the lowest graphic settings, and the right side is maxed out. So outside of the improved controls, which will likely just have the ability to use both joysticks, this feels more like a Croc Legend of the Gobos HD feel, right?
I really do like the color kind of being preserved like that, because yeah. Like the Spyro remake looks so good, but I don't know, I don't know, something about the original colors I just really liked. It just, yeah, I don't know. I think this is good. I like this. It just feels like a, rather than like kind of remaking it, they've just kind of fixed it up for modern systems. Cleaned it up. Like, and that's all I would want for a game like this, honestly.
This is where I want to express some disappointment. I was hoping for a remaster similar to what they did with the Crash Bandicoot trilogy and the Spyro the Dragon game.
Oh, that's interesting. It's kind of opposite to me, because I think both are good, but like, I feel like I prefer what they're doing here. Like, I kind of just want it smoothed up. I guess, I mean, both are good, to be fair. I don't know, because like, I could definitely understand someone wanting one or the other. What are they releasing Croc on? Also, the colors are part of the spirit of the game? Yeah, it does to me. Yeah. I believe Croc, yeah, it's consoles and PC, so it should be on everything. It's not Soul Reaver, where it had a dark, creepy environment. Yeah, I need to look more at the remake. I'm curious. Oh, I see. You sent a comparison. Yeah, I should check that out. Yeah. Because Soul Reaver had, yeah, I really, yeah. So I'm trying to think which I played more of. I think I played the original mostly. Show you videos and screenshots new and old. Yeah, yeah, I just noted it down, yeah.
What they did for Medieval and other PS1 games reborn on modern platforms. Now, I'm not saying that this is a deal breaker. I especially cannot say that as I did a review of Tomba or Tombi, which literally, apart from a couple features and a resolution increase, changed nothing. And I still enjoyed that game. I will of course enjoy this Croc game, even if it's so faithful to the original that even the shadow has not changed. The old black circle underneath, it's still there, we don't even have a shadow. In many ways, especially if you look at some of the higher
I don't know, it's a tough choice, I guess, like, because, yeah, they could have either gone like this or kind of the Spyro crash treatment, like... Yeah, I think I prefer this, just smoothing things out, cleaning them up, making it more playable, like, modern controls, like, that's what I kind of want for a game like this. But I can definitely understand wanting it the other way. Has Tomba released yet? Yeah, it's been out for a bit, actually.
Resolution screenshots that are available, and I'm sure it's on your screen right now. This is Croc with pre-rendered PS1 graphics.
I'm curious because this was meant to be coming out this year, so I don't know what the release is looking like now. Could be out for all I know. Let's see, what is the release date looking at? Let's see, remaster. Not seeing any release date. It says December 2024 is the best I'm seeing at the moment, but seems a little weird to be in December without an actual date. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird when, yeah. Is it on Steam? An announcement? Wait, does it not have a Steam page? Wait, it's not, okay, it's not releasing on Steam apparently. Krog is so cute, I love him already. Oh, apparently it's only going to be on GOG. In a press release, the studio confirms that the remaster, which was announced back in August alongside Argonauts Revival, will be exclusive to GOG on PC in order to ensure that it remains DRM free. Oh, okay. Well, that is a good reason. I'm good with that. Do you have GOG? Yeah, I have a fair few games through GOG. But yeah, it still just says like coming soon at the moment. I don't know, I always find it a bit concerning when you get into the month a game is meant to release and you don't have a day. That feels like not a good sign. But if it was going to be delayed, you think they would also say that by now. Well, that's kind of, yeah. Like I really enjoy the DRM free games I'm buying. Yeah, no, it's good, it's good. Sorry, I'm just trying to look around for any like release date stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like if you're meant to release in December and there's been no delay announced and there's no actual date announced, that's kind of weird. Like, because I kind of wanted to do well, like, but only being on GOG and it's meant to release this month, but there's still no actual release. Maybe let's take a look at the Soul Reaver comparison. Maybe I'm curious. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver Remastered vs Original comparison by Ray Van Latino. Raven Latino? Okay. Everything we've watched, I'll link in the description, just like after stream, by the way, just for reference, channel and video. Alright, let's have a look.
This is taxing, however. Your strength must first be fully restored.
That's a weird one. Oh, okay, that's an interesting one. It does seem a lot brighter, which I don't know, it's not bad, but seems like filters make it less clear. That's definitely very HD in comparison. I don't know. Things feel very bright. Yeah, that one, man. Like I feel like there's so much like shadows. Like it actually looks really good. Like it might be low poly and all that kind of stuff, but like I feel like the actual lighting of this room looks really good. And then suddenly it's like, it is still got some darkness, but we get like in the middle-ish. Okay, it's not perfect, but I don't know, yeah. I mean, I feel like it looks good. I do feel like the remaster looks good, just that's got something to it. That's like, I feel like it actually looks really good. And I think the thing too is that you can emulate this version while rendering it at a higher resolution. So you can get this experience while smoothing out all of the actual 3D assets. Yeah. I like the more color, but I feel like it took some of the atmosphere. Yeah. So it holds up in my opinion, the original I mean. But the game had to be modded to run, so I'm torn. Yeah. I don't know, because it depends, like, for example, with, when I played Medieval 1 with Duckstation, that automatically set it up so I could use like modern controls with it. That was a real big surprise. So when I played Medieval 1, I was able to play it like normal camera control, like modern game style automatically, and it was like ran really well and it was really good. So I don't know if you can do similar with this for Duckstation. It's still it's not stable. Is that the PC version though? I imagine emulating the PS1 version's a lot better. But yeah, like, cause I was really surprised when I played Medieval, cause before that I was trying to use the original controls, but yeah, Duckstation, when I emulated that, it automatically set up Medieval for like modern controls, which is so good. That was a real surprise. So if you could do that with like the PS1 Soul Reaver, maybe a better experience. I don't know. I mean, in general, I'm glad to see games like this getting a remaster. And it does look good. Like, I don't know. I'm mixed between, because I like nice, bright, being able to see kind of things. And yet, I also look at that and can really appreciate kind of the atmosphere that that actually has. So I don't know. I would love to see a comparison that's like the new one versus this, emulated at a high resolution. Oh yeah, you just took screenshots from the trailer? Yeah. But yeah, like if you could take this, yeah, get like some high, like, you know, emulated at 1440p or something, and then compare that to the new one, I feel like that would be really interesting to see. Yeah. We'll take a look at the extra trailer here. Thank you, Cerberus.
Few know the truth. I stood with Cain and my brethren until I had the honor of surpassing my lord. For my transgression, I earned a new kind of reward. Agony.
The fate of this world was preordained in an instant.
What madness is this?
Am I so changed?
I was not prepared for what lay beyond this threshold.
Yeah, you can definitely see how much brighter they make it, but I don't know. It does seem like it's good.
The future has always been written.
Don't fight it, Raziel.
Yeah, I don't know, like, yeah. I feel like it's pretty solid. Like I don't know if I don't know if brightening, make it brighter benefits it. Like, I almost feel like it'd be good if there was like 2 lighting modes or something. Like have the new like a look, but the older lighting option and a new lighting option. I don't know. That's true. I think since they redid the first 2 games, they just used the same art style, but the second one wasn't as dark as the original. Also PS2 vs PS1. Oh yeah, yeah. But God, did I love the voice acting? It was one of the first games where I saw what gaming could be. Yeah, yeah, no, it's really good. Yeah. I don't remember how long these games are. Like, they're not that long, are they? Maybe it'd be fun to play on stream. I don't know if I would, I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to play it on stream. Because I think, like, they wouldn't be too long. I don't know, they are reaction oriented, but not really. The lengths is dependent on your ability to solve puzzles. Yeah, I don't even remember them that well. I think I mostly played the first one. And the, what's the other Legacy of Kain game? I forget. A cool series. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to yeah, see the comparison to like an emulated PS1 version. But either way, I am glad to see like Soul Reaver getting any kind of attention, honestly. Can we react to Slay the Princess trailer? Be right back. Yeah, I can check it out. I mean, I don't know, let me know when you're back, or... But, yeah, we can do that. If I can find it. What is the pristine cut? Like, is the pristine cut an expansion, or is that just what it's called now? Or is that like definitive edition? Are you gonna play the remakes then, Cerberus? Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, this is sort of loading. Enjoy, Bidoof. There we go. If SBC is back, or I'll make sure to note it. Just so I link it. Oh yeah, there was one other trailer I wanted to watch. Forgot about that. Will this function? Okay. We'll check this out and then say the princess. Really? You can toggle encounters on and off. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I love that. I love that as a feature, because then I can just grind, then story.
We did it, Sophie! We did it, Sharia!
I'm sorry. Over 80 DLCs? What? I'm assuming that means a lot of costumes.
Huh? Pascal, is today your birthday? I'm so sorry, I didn't get you a gift.
My army has the capital surrounded. What? Is that really you?
Shine on! Garden of Innocence!
Can you see it coming? Blistering wolf!
I mean, just tell me there's Japanese voice acting. That's all I want to hear right now. Okay, I'm going to assume it does. I really hope so. I'm assuming it'll have both. I hope it has both. Anything about it? Oh, looks like yes. From the Bandai website. Certain skits in the original. Okay, not that. Additional voiceover language settings. The game's voiceover language can be changed to English and Japanese in the audio option. Awesome. That is from Bandai. Hell yeah. I'm really looking forward to that. That's gonna be really good. Yeah. Are you about Species? What else did I want to check out? Well, I'll watch the Slay the Princess once you're about. I'll check out East 10 while we're here.
I'm a Norman, a pirate. One false.
Okay, now we're gonna get issues. Sure, sure.
The vast and endless sea. What a thrill!
I'm a Norman.
Ay, ay, ay. It's been fine. Why are we getting issues now? What do you want? 480? God damn it. Why can we not have nice things?
The vast and endless sea. What a thrill!
I'm a Norman, a pirate. One false move, and you might be my next kill.
You can't take the ocean lightly, Adel. But hey, stuff like this is what adventuring's all about.
God damn it. Why? We have been watching stuff with no issue. Why? Ay, ay, ay.
Oh, belly a gull.
Seriously?
Huh? Sure doesn't disappoint.
Men, prepare to hunt.
We Normans ain't defenders of justice. We're lawless brigands. Yeah, too bad. It's the last you'll ever...
Fuck me. Why? God, YouTube's frustrating sometimes these days. I don't know if you guys have these problems, but... Ay, ay, ay. Did I miss anything? No, I gotta slay the princess open. Although this is being a piece of shit, which has been a little annoying. Let's hope this isn't. Slay the princess. The pristine cut.
But she's a princess. We're supposed to save her. You're supposed to slay her, or she'll go on to destroy everything. Do you not understand what everything means?
You poor thing. We both know this isn't you.
Oh my god, fuck me. Why is like, it's been fine this whole time. Time to grab a snack. I'm just thinking what to do. Like, I don't know how to actually fix this problem. I would just know if it's like Firefox running for a while or... I just don't understand why it would be fine like this whole time and now run into a problem. I don't know. Let's see. I can reset that one thing. Running out of space? Is something down there update in the background? No, it's not that kind of issue. This is a YouTube issue. I don't know. we'll see if this fixed that.
But she's a princess. We're supposed to save her. You're supposed to slay her, or she'll go on to destroy everything. Do you not understand what everything means?
You poor thing. We both know this isn't you.
See? She's not a monster. She pries the blade from your infuriatingly rigid hands.
I'll try to make it quick.
What is she...
Oh, damn it. Oh, fuck you.
You didn't think we were done, did you? Don't you get it? There is no escape. Everything you do always brings you right back to me.
I guess that's like the pristine cut's like the definitive edition. The trailer doesn't, I mean, it kind of gives a pretty good reason to slay the princess. It's not exactly looking like a Yeah.
You're on a path in the woods. And at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her.
Wait, what?
If you don't, it will be the end of the world.
No.
It's it's like a minute and 20-minute video. Like, why? It seems to be YouTube. Like, I don't know how many people are under this problem, but because it's not like an internet lagging issue or anything. This is just like I don't know, like YouTube Firefox issue. I'm not really sure. It seemed fine. Like, we went through like 2.5 hours of videos without a problem.
Hold on a second. Don't you listen to him? What did I ever do to you?
She will do everything. She'll charm and she'll lie and she'll promise you the world. And if she has the chance, she will kill you 12 times over.
Is he?
Shoulders.
You're not actually going to try and slay me or anything, right? Because I wouldn't if I were you. If you try, I'll kill you as many times as it takes.
Yeah, that's the original trailer. Time Switch Chrome. Yeah, I need to set up, like I said, I want to set my computer up in some way just for stream. I just haven't got around to it. Because they're different browsers I've set up for different things. Firefox is my like YouTube browser, so it's clear of like personal stuff and yeah, I don't have to like worry about anything. I still really want to make like a dual boot setup or something. I just haven't got around to it. So then I just have like a clean setup for YouTube and I can use desktop to capture and not worry about anything. But yeah, it does look like a cool game. I had ran into it. It seems like it's a big game. Like, if you want to go for like one ending, not so much. But if you want to get all the endings, it seems like it's quite a bit. But the fact that it has so much voice acting is cool. I wonder, like, what all it actually has. Oh, okay, it's only English. I thought what it said on the trailer was like, I thought it meant like, it said localized. I was thinking it meant the actual voice. I was thinking like, I wonder what it's like to play in Japanese. Yeah, I think I should set up Brave maybe for YouTube or something. It might be better. Yeah. But I know it's been a short one, but I think I'm actually gonna wrap up here, guys. I wanted to just do a few hours. Yeah. I'm going to bed pretty early tonight, because I'm planning to I need to set it up, which I haven't got to that yet. I am planning to stream in the daytime. So yeah, I'll be streaming in like 11 hours. And I should be streaming for like 7 or 8 hours after that. Yeah. Infinity Nikki goes live in 11 hours. So I'll be streaming that as it goes live. And yeah, I'll hopefully be doing like 7, maybe 8 hours. So I want to make sure I'm like up and all good for that. Yeah. But I appreciate you guys hanging out for a bit. I don't know who will be able to be there tomorrow, but yeah, that'll just be like a one-off thing for the release. May play it again the next night. Obviously, I want to get back to Mario and Luigi and stuff, but yeah, it's more just for the release. I may just play it for myself after that. I honestly don't know yet. At the very least, maybe I'll stream the main story. I'm not sure. But yeah, at the very least, I know I want to try and do like a decent sized one tomorrow for the release. I might stream from like 1 till 8 or 1 till 9. Something like that. Yeah. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks, streaming. Take care and have a good sleep. Thank you for being here, SBC. Get some sleep, buddy. I'll be asleep, but I hope it goes well. Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here, Cerberus. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be fun. Yeah. But I'll probably do another video night sometime soonish. Not too soon. At least do like a loop through all the main stuff we're playing at the moment. But I do want to do another one. It's a bit more structured. A few other things I want to go through. Yeah, I don't know. Just a bit of chill, slow night. I think it is better like starting a little later with some of these. Like it can be awkward for me starting stream early. Because I think the downside is too is that like starting early means the notifications go out early, which doesn't always work out as well. I don't know. But it was good chilling with you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. I really hope you all have a good rest of your day. Be well. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow at some hour. Not sure. But yeah. Be well, everyone. Thank you, Daniel, who's been lurking. Thank you, Daniel, was here earlier. Hope you have a good rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.